All right, good morning, everybody. Today's date is February 15th, 2023. This is a regular meeting of the members of the State Liquor Authority being conducted in our New York City office with video conferencing to our offices in Albany and Buffalo. This meeting is also being live streamed on the Authority's YouTube channel. Present today are Chairman Bradley and Commissioner Fan, staff in attendance, General Counsel Shannon Kearney Sarfo, Associate Counsel Michael Amarato, Deputy Commissioner of Licensing Tom Donahue, and myself, Secretary Roper. Next regular meeting dates are March 8th, March 22nd, and April 4th, which is a Tuesday. While in the meeting rooms, please silence your mobile phones and take any phone calls or conversations outside. In New York City, public restrooms are located on the second floor. And please do not touch the microphone when you approach the podium. Items will be called in the order they are signed in, first in Buffalo, then Albany, and then in New York City. When your item is called, please approach the podium, identify yourself. Representatives should also identify their clients who are present. Chairman, do you have any announcements?
Yeah, just one. I've spoken about this before. In last year's budget, included in the budget was a direction that the SLA should hold a working group, which encompassed a number of appointed members from the legislature as well as from the governor's office, and hold meetings to examine the ABC law and to make any recommendations or amendments based on specific items that were included in the budget bill. We are and have been accepting public comment in writing regarding any comments that anyone in the industry wants to make. That's been going on for several months now. That window is going to close at the end of this month because we have completed our meetings and we are now beginning to draft a report that will be made public and handed to the legislature, I believe, at the beginning of May. So as I said, it's on our website, right? I believe, Donald?
I'm not.
Well, I believe there's instructions on the website. They should be forwarded to us in Albany, and they will be certainly reviewed and included in the report. That's it.
All right. Before we move on to Buffalo, we do have two requests for summary orders of suspension from counsel's office. First is 272A, Zombies of Flatbush.
Good morning, members. Margarita Marcico of Counsel's Office. I'm before you requesting that you issue an emergency order of summary suspension as to licensee Zombie House, located at 734 Flatbush Avenue, which is near Prospect Park in the 70th Precinct in the Bronx. We're making this request based on an incident which occurred on January 15th of 2023. When a 15-year-old armed male robbed a patron inside of the licensed premise at 2:50 in the morning. That's in the early morning hours of Sunday morning. When the victim of this robbery eventually called the police responded to the licensed premise. And the owner who's been mostly interacting with the police was present. He was uncooperative with the police. He directed his employees to not identify themselves to the police. The police were unable to determine who the security guards, the names of the security guards who were present during this robbery. The owner was so uncooperative that he was taken back to the 70th Precinct. He actually ripped paperwork out of a female police sergeant's hands when she was trying to explain to him that they were going to be doing an inspection to see how he was managing his premise. So to say the least, he was highly volatile, uncooperative with the police. At the time when it mattered, at the time when the police needed to know who was there, what the security guards were doing to guard against having a minor illegally inside the premise. When it counted, this licensee principal did not cooperate with the police. As a follow-up to this egregious incident, the NYPD contacted the SLA, and we did a joint inspection with the police on January 18th at the licensed premise. An underage auxiliary police agent was sent into the premise and he was able to successfully buy alcohol. There was no security guard at the front door checking IDs. The bartender did not check IDs. On the same date, one of our investigators did a very thorough inspection of the licensed premise. A particular concern to us were the fire life safety violations that were there, including using extension cords as permanent wiring, having, defective fire detection devices. Also, a particular concern to the SLA was alcohol that was being sold, apparently sold out of this premise. The investigators saw that there was a menu advertising $6 Jell-O shots. The investigators saw 3 bottles of alcoholic mixtures that did not have labels from manufacturers that appeared to be in-house mixes of alcoholic items and contained 44.7% alcohol, as well as other bitters. The investigator went to the basement and saw a walk-in refrigerator. There were over a dozen more similar pre-mixed bottles with no manufacturer labels. In the basement, there was also a clear plastic 5-gallon bucket containing a brown-looking liquid. And the investigator was told that this was pineapple fruit with other beverages, including brandy, that was fermenting in this home, this in-house mixture that was created there. In the basement refrigerator, there were also more Jell-O shots, as well as other plastic containers containing alcohol and vodka that are distributed illegally. So obviously, for our purposes, this is a particular concern. We have no idea what the source of this alcohol was that is being sold to people inside the premise. The investigator was also told during that time that there was no food being sold at the premise. This is not a restaurant, it's a tavern. However, they are required, obviously, to sell food. There was evidence that the licensee was selling hookah illegally. There was a hookah menu advertising hookah, and there was also apparatus discovered there by the investigator. So after this inspection, on January 20th, there was a second sale to minor. So that's number 2 for the licensee. Number 3 was on January 26th. On January 25th, there was a third sale to an underage auxiliary police officer. So that was number 3. On January 26th, the police this time did a joint inspection with the health department to, further follow up what was going on inside the premise based upon the findings of our investigator. The Department of Health issued 2 violations referencing holes in the walls where food was being prepared and a hairnet missing. The more significant piece of evidence that occurred on January 26th was the fact that Sergeant Tongas, who counsel's office has spoken to repeatedly in this matter, on his body camera footage can be seen warning the owner that a 15-year-old was inside the premise on January 15th, was armed with a gun and robbed somebody, and that they needed to monitor the age of the patrons entering the premise. Despite this warning, on February 8th of 2023, there was a 4th sale, and this time to an 18-year-old underage auxiliary police officer. So clearly the principal, aside from, being obstructive to the police, is not following any of the advice he's getting. I would also note that this is not the first time the licensee has been warned by the SLA with regard to his obligation to adequately supervise. The members have been provided 2 copies he received a letter of advice from the Enforcement Bureau with regard to his obligation to keep his premises orderly. Obviously, on January 15th, when an armed 15-year-old was robbing someone inside, that was not an orderly premise. I believe also you've received copies of the complaint reports, other assaults, and other incidents that have happened inside the premise that were referenced by the commanding officer in the last 2 years. So clearly there's violence going on inside. And also, Investigator Stravali did a NWOP with the licensee principal. It took some doing. The licensee principal was really not making himself very available to the investigator. However, the investigator went to great lengths to do a FaceTime meeting with the licensee principal, and he warned him about his obligation to adequately supervise a premise and to assure that he's not violating the executive orders, because there was an incident in April of 2020 where the licensee had patrons inside at a time where that was strictly prohibited. Counsel's office has spoken with the Midnight Platoon commander who has frequently been in the vicinity of the licensed premise during closing time. She advises that this premise is a focal point for police attention. Counsel's office also spoke to one of the steady midnight sector officers who is frequently there during the closing times. And they advise counsel's office that the licensee, there are issues with patrons being allowed to congregate in front of the sidewalk, excessive noise, drunken disorderly patrons, and illegal parking, which is severely hampering the traffic there. So there's only 2 lanes of traffic. The precinct is forced to do frequent directed patrols of the licensed premise, which is a drain on the resources. This licensee has also generated 311 complaints, and local residents have complained about the excessive noise there. I would just note with regard to the armed robbery, counsel's office did speak with detectives involved in that robbery investigation. They did get a copy of the video, just focusing on the robbery part. And in the video, the detectives indicated that you could see the 15-year-old with what appeared to be the outlines of a gun under the jacket of the victim as he's basically pushing the victim out of the licensed premise. And this appeared to occur in front of a security guard at the door. And the bizarre thing is that this victim, after he was robbed outside, he was robbed of a very expensive coat, an iPhone. He was also forced to transfer $2,500 out of his account to the robber. After the robber and his accomplices were done with the victim, they actually pushed him back into the licensed premise in front of the same security guard. Again, we don't know who the security guard is because the licensee principal never gave us the roster of security guards at the time when it mattered. So,
Can you just clarify what happened? So the 15-year-old perpetrator was inside the establishment before the robbery happened? They were actually patrons and...
Yes, Commissioner Fan, I was told by the detectives that based on the video, this 15-year-old who's known to the department from the neighborhood was inside the premise with some of his friends, and the detectives believe that none of them were over 19 years old. We do not have video evidence of what they were doing inside.
Okay.
The video that was provided by the licensee principal doesn't go back that far, but we do know that at some point they started this robbery. They started by forcing the victim to transfer $2,500 through an app out of his account while inside the licensed premise. And then the 15-year-old put the gun under the victim's coat and forced him out of the licensed premise in front of the security guard. And the detective advised that based on the video he saw, it appeared that the 15-year-old showed the security guard a gang sign, a Crips gang sign, and then he left with the victim. The victim was robbed down the street. The perpetrator, the coat that was stolen was hidden in a deli, in a nearby store. And then this group pushed the victim back into the bar, which is very bizarre.
I understand. Okay, thank you.
So based on all of these circumstances, we don't believe the licensee is capable of adequately
Oh, I have one
supervising.
more question. So
Yeah.
there is another person on the license, or it's just a one person?
No, there's several people on the license. Actually, his father is also on the license.
Mr. Kaplan's father.
Yes, Mr. Kaplan's father, and they're the major shareholders, and there's some other LLC members
And
have
were
lower
any
shares.
of the licensees present during any of the 4 subsequent sale to minor?
I do not believe so.
When was this place licensed?
In August of 2017.
And what is it, bar, restaurant? What's
It's a bar tavern. And there's a maximum occupancy of 74.
And are there stipulations on it or no?
I would have to double check. I don't believe so.
Just what they put in, which is recorded music, DJ, karaoke, live music, no security.
No security.
But under our
Right.
new guidelines, that could change, but
Yeah, but it still has to be licensed.
Yeah, it appears with the security part, I was told by the officers who supervise the sale to minor operations, they don't have any security guards in the early hours, and then they have some in the later hours.
Was there an arrest made in this robbery?
The 15-year-old was arrested, yes,
How old's the victim?
30.
And a regular customer or no?
I don't know if the victim was a regular customer.
All right.
So, I only see some COVID-related history. Is there anything else?
No, that's all the history we have, yes. If you see from the complaint reports, there were other assaults that allegedly occurred inside, and I was told by the detective squad that they were all closed for various reasons.
Why? So you went and asked them for referrals after we got this referral? Is there anything else open up there that they had? Or
This,
up there?
according to our information, this is all they have.
Because this took an awful long time for them to get it to us. The robbery happened, what'd you say, January 15th?
Yes,
And when did we get it?
well, they were building and working a case with a sale to minor, and they were also attempting to have meetings with the licensee principal. They had one scheduled, which had to be canceled.
No, I'm
so-
talking about the police. When did they inform us of these activities? Approximately.
It may have been around the time that the sale to minor
So
operations began,
first
yeah.
week of February.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Donald, I think we're ready.
All right, Commissioner Fan.
Based on evidence submitted by counsel, it's clear that this licensee is ignoring his responsibilities and obligations under the ABC law, and therefore voting to summarily suspend this license due to imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare.
And Chairman Bradley.
I'm going to vote to summarily suspend. It's clear the licensee is a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have one more request. That's 272B, PLUSH 101E.
Brian Schwartz for Counsel's Office. Good morning, everyone. In the early morning hours of this past Sunday, February 12th, a 19-year-old woman pulled up in front of PLUSH in her car. She was going to pick up her boyfriend. As she got out of the car outside the premises, there was numerous shots fired outside the premises. One of them struck her in the leg. NYPD reports that the principal of the license has refused to cooperate with NYPD in the investigation of this incident. The licensee has failed to provide the video and has not cooperated with any other part of the investigation. This shooting is part of a pattern of disorder and violence which has been ongoing at the premises. It's a pattern that's been growing steadily worse over time. On December 11th of 2022, 2 months before the young woman was shot.
Can I go back to the shooting, though, just to
Sure.
clarify? Did she ever get out of the car?
Yes,
And the shot came from inside the establishment?
they don't know where it came from.
Okay.
They have no idea. There's an unknown assailant. There were multiple shots fired. Several shots hit her automobile, and one of them hit him in the leg. But
Do
at
we
this
know if
point,
it's connected?
to the premises?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to get to that in a minute, but not directly. No, there's nothing. It's our contention that it's part of a pattern of disorder. There are large crowds outside this place. There's a lot of over-serving going on. It's overcrowding. But
Okay.
anyway,
All right, go ahead, I'm sorry.
that's okay. December 11th of 2022, about 2 months before the young woman was shot, a young man was celebrating his birthday inside the premises. He stepped outside for a moment to smoke marijuana. There's a group of young men arguing on the sidewalk outside. They apparently had been in the premises earlier. One of them began firing a pistol. It's not clear whether the person was firing at the victim or someone else, but the young man was hit in the foot. And a year before that, in December of 2021, a male patron was celebrating his birthday. He stepped outside and he was shot multiple times in the chest and the back. We also have several other incidents recently. On January 29th, the patron is assaulted while leaving PLUSH. On December 10th, a victim stated that she was assaulted by the owner of PLUSH. She was supposedly head-butted in the face when she refused to leave the place. And then again, another assault on that same day. There's a dispute over a bill and a customer is allegedly assaulted. And on November 5th, there's a fight outside. Now, you have before you a letter from Captain Orellana, who was the commanding officer of the 45th Precinct. And he advises us that there have been numerous acts of violence at this premises. There have been numerous instances of felony-level criminality. And in his words, countless quality of life crimes involving PLUSH. And he also tells us that these conditions have been a constant drain on the patrol strength of his precinct. NYPD officers report to us that PLUSH requires pretty much a constant police presence, 4 or 5 nights a week, to the point where the sector NCO for this premises had to actually get his tour changed so that he was able to deal with this. He had to be able to respond late at night and early in the morning. There have been 208 police service calls for this place in the last year. That's including directed patrols. You have those records among your materials. NYPD reports that PLUSH is chronically overcrowded. Patrons are routinely overserved with alcohol. The constant crowds of intoxicated patrons and the inadequate security that is pretty much always present has led directly to the 3 shootings, which I just mentioned, numerous assaults, arrests for weapons possession. You have a constant situation where you have drunken patrons who are getting into their automobiles and driving away. The police have had it interviewed several times while that's happening, one of which involved an accident. No one was hurt in the accident, but there was damage to the vehicles. There are thefts, constant noise and public urination, and blockage of the narrow street that is outside the premises. The patrons regularly go outside the premises to continue partying and drinking alcohol out on the sidewalk. Now, there have been numerous warnings given to this licensee. The NYPD and the SLA have both attempted to get this licensee to stop what he's been doing, and that's had 0 effect. Captain Orellana, the Special Operations Lieutenant, and the NCO Sergeant of the precinct have all repeatedly told the licensee that he needs to close earlier, that he needs to have better security, that he needs to stop over-serving patrons and have a plan in place for doing that, and limit occupancy to the number of patrons that are there. Now, this premises has pending NOP 162306. That notice of pleading charges focal point, pattern of disorder, and failure to supervise. This notice of pleading was served on the licensee on or about November 15th. And the only change since then in the licensee's behavior has been for the worse, as the incidents of disorder have actually increased since then. This license was only issued in September of 2019, but this licensee has paid $35,500 in fines to date. There have been 4 separate cases since August of 2020. The first was in December of 2020. That just involved a simple EO violation, patrons not wearing masks. The second one in November of 2020 involved the same thing. But the third case that this licensee picked up in December of 2020 involved charges of being open past curfew, overcrowding, there was a gambling machine, there was no food being served, patrons were smoking hookah, and the smoking of the hookah is combined with numerous fire code violations, including having the gate locked with the patrons inside. So the licensee paid $30,000 for that case in one of the EO cases. And then there's another case in August of 2022 in which hookah is again being smoked and sold, and there are several fire and health code violations for that incident as well. So it's clear that this licensee has not learned from his mistakes, despite numerous opportunities to do so. Also, it's clear, I believe, that the operation of this establishment is an immediate threat to the health, safety, and welfare of the community, both in the way it is being operated directly and indirectly, because the NYPD is forced to devote a significant amount of its patrol strength to policing this place instead of providing service to the members of the community. For that reason, we ask for an order of summary suspension. Thank you.
Mr. Schwartz, question. Was the licensee cooperative after the first shooting
No.
that occurred?
No.
In what way were they not cooperative?
I'm sorry, you're talking about the most recent shooting? Yeah. They were asked for the video, and they would not provide it. And they were asked for further information. They would not provide that either.
And the premises itself, is it located in a mixed-use area, residential, or something else?
The officer, who's the sector officer, told me it's largely commercial, but there are people living there.
Above the premises?
I don't think above. Yeah, there are people living above the premises.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Donald.
All right, Commissioner Fan.
Based on evidence provided by counsel, this licensed premise has become a clear drain on police resource and not just a nuisance, but really a threat to public health, safety, and welfare. I'm voting to summarily suspend this license.
Chairman Bradley.
Based on the evidence presented, the licensed premise has become a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare, and I'm voting to summarily suspend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
All right. So moving on to Buffalo. The first item is 247 SSK Transit Inc.
There's opposition for this.
Okay, if the applicant can come up so they can introduce themselves first, and then we'll move to the opposition.
Good morning, members of the full board. My name is Jacob Pierkowski. I'm here with the applicant, Summit Kasaria. I'm joined by the liquor license consultant, Robert Heil of SLA Solutions.
All right, thank you. And if the opposition can now come up.
Thank you.
Good morning, members of the board. Attorney Sean McKenzie, McGavran Grimm. I'm here today with representatives of Tonawanda Wine and Liquor, Midnight Liquors, and Sheridan Plaza Liquors in opposition to the application.
Wait, hold on a second. Say that again. The first one is 60 Broad Street, 61 Broad Street.
Correct.
And then what are the next two?
That 61 Broad Street is Tonawanda Wine and Liquors. Then there is Midnight Liquors.
Okay.
Mr. Surinder Singh, and the address there is 3167 Eggert Road, Tonawanda 14150. And finally, M. Butler Wines and Spirits, DBA Sheridan Plaza Liquors,
Got it.
which is at 1800 Sheridan Drive.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Do you have anything to say?
Would you like to hear the opposition first? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Members of the board, I respectfully submit on behalf of my clients here today that each of them submitted individual letters contesting the issuance of the license to SSK Transit with brief explanations of their reasons for doing so. I was asked to come with them this morning just recently and would have normally have put in an extensive written submission. I did put one together, so I'll briefly touch upon the highlights. In short, this is a community with a declining population. The census figures over the past several decades have shown that in 50 years, the town of Tonawanda has lost nearly a third of its population. Over the past 20 years, it's lost over 10% of its population. Additionally, since 2010, there have been 3 new licenses issued, according to my review of the Liquor Authority's records: Straight Up, Queen City Liquors, and Sheridan Liquors. It also appears as though a license was just issued to Universal Liquor and Wine, serial 3169601, on January 18th of this year, less than a month ago. The town of Tonawanda has
And how far is that from this location? Do you know?
The new store would be less than 2 miles from the location. And I would say this as well. Midnight Liquors is 1.3 miles from the proposed location of SKK. Tonawanda Wine and Spirits, 1.5 miles. M. Butler, Sheridan Plaza Liquors, also 1.5 miles from the proposed premises.
Okay.
Now, each of my clients here also submitted their gross sales reports. Each of those sales reports shows a decline over the past, well, I should say this. M. Butler shows a decline over the past 2 years, nearly $400,000.
All right, sir, I'm going to stop you there. the last 2 years, I don't know how often you're in here, but in 2020, it's pretty well known that most liquor stores outside of New York City did the best sales in the history of their stores. So to see a decrease between 2020 and 2022 it means nothing to us. That's why we asked for 4 years. And based on what I'm seeing, over the 4-year period, there's an increase if you take out 2020.
That is correct, sir. That is correct. Over the entire 4-year period, there is an increase. However, I think if I would then look at Midnight Liquors and Tonawanda Wine and Liquors. Both Mr. Malik and Mr. Singh purchased their liquor stores in 2021. So they can only provide partial sales for 21 and for 22. These individuals are still establishing themselves in the industry, in the community. That is another reason we believe that the public interest would not be served by the issuance of this license. We believe that we submit respectfully that the area is saturated, and the issuance of a new license less than 1 month ago, which would now bring it to at least 5 stores. If this SKK were issued, that would bring it to 5 stores within 2 miles. And again, we just respectfully submit that the public convenience would not be served by the issuance of this license.
Okay,
So-
thank you.
You're welcome.
Unless you have something else, go ahead.
Oh, no, I don't have anything further. I was just going to offer that if the board members had any questions of my clients, they'd be happy to answer.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Good morning again, members of the board. Again, my name is Jacob Pierkowski. Just a couple points on the opposition that I think are sort of critical here to start. Number one, I have the gross sales reports, and all of the stores I've opposed, 2020 being the anomaly, as the chairman noted, have shown significant growth in sales.
Yeah, but you're focusing on the wrong thing already. You got a store that opened in 2021 that is one of the 4 or 5 closest stores, and we just put another store in January of 2023. Why would we need a 3rd store in this area? Why would Tonawanda need a 3rd store?
Sure. So this store is going to be a little over 1,600 square feet of retail space. It's going to have a focus on tequila that no other stores in the area have. My client has spoke to a number of distributors, and we've listed 9 tequila brands in our report that none of the stores have. My office has checked with the websites of the closest stores that have been identified or spoken to the stores themselves. These 9 brands are not covered in the area. Additionally, the location of the store, Chairman, is directly off the I-290, which is a major thoroughfare for commuters. And so it's going to draw from a different clientele than what we're going to see from the stores that are the 4 closest. So it's a unique store. It's going to provide a unique product. And it's going to be unlike the other stores in the area. So it's going to serve public convenience and advantage. It's not going to have any increase in traffic. The traffic count at where we're located is over 17,000 cars daily, which is pretty high for Western New York. And it's on a main thoroughfare in a very busy plaza that's had a very vacant space for years. So for all of these reasons, the store is going to serve public convenience and advantage. It's not going to draw against the sales of the existing stores. It's not going to dilute the market. It's going to provide a unique product that is going to be something that, from the data we provide, tequila is a huge growth spirit right now, and sales are through the roof. It's taking on vodka as the #1 spirit in the United States. It's surpassed American whiskey in sales. And so we're looking to tap into that market and really have a focus for people who love this spirit and want to learn more about it and have more of a community about it.
Have any questions? And how many brands of tequila does he intend on selling?
Over 200 SKUs.
Because you got a 3,000 square foot store, you're going to focus on tequila with 200 SKUs. The rest of it, you're going to be selling the products that are already available within a 2-minute drive.
Well, we've identified about 60 different tequilas that are sold in the 4 closest stores, Chairman. So ideally, this will be a very significantly different product that we're offering.
And it's a different neighborhood too at the same time. It's in the
Fine.
plaza, easy access.
All right, I think we're ready though.
All right, Commissioner Fan.
Let me just confirm one thing. We did put a license in this general area in January of this year?
Well, one of the licenses was replaced by another store.
Hold
Right.
on.
Sure.
Here's the serial, 316-9601.
316-9061.
No, 9601.
I'm just making sure it's a brand new store, that's all. Yeah, January 1605 Kenmore Ave.
Okay. All right, Donald, I think we're ready.
All right, Commissioner Fan.
Given that there's still another store that's waiting to open, I'm gonna vote to deny.
Chairman Bradley.
Yeah, I'm gonna vote to deny as well. We opened a store 2 miles away from this location in 2021, which obviously just opened. We have another store within 2 miles that hasn't even opened yet that we just approved in January of this year. I don't see any public
Well,
convenience.
it should be open. They got their
All
license.
right, so it just opened this year. I don't see any public convenience and advantage, even though you plan on focusing on tequila.
Thank you.
And Nicole, there's no other matters in Buffalo?
That is correct.
All right, thank you. You can go ahead and sign off. A couple of matters in Albany. However, we do have a Spanish interpreter that has arrived here in New York City, and I'd like to get him out. So I'm going to go ahead and call the call.
Just give me 2 minutes.
Yeah, we're going to go on a brief recess. We'll be back shortly.
So that
All right, we're back on the record after a brief recess. Again, we have an interpreter here in New York City. like to get him going. So I'm going to call 226. That's Los MOLCAJETES number 2 limited. And if the interpreter could come up also.
226?
226.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. Robert Romano. I'm here with Mr. Julio Cabrera, who is the principal. This is a request to, it was a cancellation. We're asking that the cancellation be reversed in that Mr. Cabrera was in a near fatal accident.
Interpreter, can you put your name on the record?
Yep.
Ricardo Alcaraz.
Okay, can you make sure whatever is being said, you say to him?
So back in February of 2022, Mr. Cabrera was in a near fatal accident and spent significant time in the hospital and recovering. Admittedly, did not properly submit the information.
Mr. Romano, I think you need to give the interpreter a chance to interpret.
He did not submit the information as requested by the investigators. Unfortunately, well, fortunately, I have the material now. Unfortunately, it was literally handed to me yesterday and today.
So, and that's, and I read your letter, and listen, I get it.
Yeah,
But he never told anybody he was in any accident. That doesn't mean he wasn't.
I've seen photographs and medical bills.
But that also you're saying was February of 22. We're now in February of 23.
I understand.
This has been, we canceled this in January of 23. We still don't have the documents.
Right. I know. I went through,
The documents were requested in September of 22.
right. Well,
So that's 7 months after the accident.
I'm not, and neither is he making, he's apologizing for it. There's no excuse for it, but he does have the information now. At the very least, if you could have, if you want to put the matter over and I could submit this material to the authority and you can review it and see if it's
What's
adequate.
this case in Availing? What was, is it Charlie asking for these?
It was Delilah Vega.
He's not even aware of what he's being accused of.
Probably nothing. They probably were just checking, but he.
Right. And he would like to make a
Send
statement.
it back to counsel's office.
All right.
Thank you.
So what are you going to do? Return
That's
to
all we'd
counsel's
ask.
office and then I believe reach out to the
And what
So
prosecutor
we're
or the
grant
enforcement, right?
reconsideration. We're to get the documents by tomorrow morning or today.
Well,
but
that's what I'd like to ask. I have hard copies here.
I don't care how you get them, but they better be here by tomorrow morning.
Would you like me to leave them with counsel's office?
Or
Yeah, you can give it to Shannon.
Okay,
you said you have digital copies, right?
Also asking for an interview as well.
that's,
That we can schedule.
right. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
All right, and I got one more for you, Mr. Al. 223 BRIYANA Organics DELI Corp.
Good morning, members of the board, Chairman Bradley. I'm here today. This is Franklin Janeo, 458 Hemlock Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11208, for the applicant. The applicant had a previous application denied, and so we're here for review of this current application. My applicant is completely kind of upset with himself that he relied on accountants to do his previous applications. And in such reliance,
Who did this one?
this application, an accountant did it as well. And that's why we're here today, because there were some materials.
Here today because he got caught availing somebody else's license.
Yes, Chairman Ballard, that's part of,
Disclose.
That he was availing.
And he discloses 2 prior disapprovals in this application.
right, so if I may, Chairman Bradley, the first accountant who did this application, if you notice the history, one of them was disapproved because that accountant was grossly deficient, that application. And then he kept telling my client that it was going to get approved, and that you could use the current license while we're pending, because the one had been already submitted. So he relied detrimentally on that advice.
No, he availed at different
It's 2 different
locations.
locations.
Yes, Your Honor, but, yeah, I apologize. Chairman Bradley, so just so we're clear, the first application for this current license was disapproved because of the deficiency.
Correct.
Then he bought another premises, and that application was the one that the accountant told him he can use that current license while it was pending. That was the one that was supposedly availing based on what happened and his misinformation. Then he hired another accountant he sold that business because he was so disappointed what had happened. Then he applied again, he hired another accountant to apply for this current application. And in that process obviously his English is very limited, was that the current accountant didn't ask him, hey, what happened the last time? What had happened? So he can put it down on the personal questionnaire. I actually met with the
Let me
accountant.
stop you there. Mr. DeLuca, you represented this guy. Come up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. DeLuca?
You didn't do the applications?
No,
You sure? That's not the information we have.
not that I'm aware of.
But no, I did not.
Go ahead.
I did not.
And so we
I
have
never tell anyone that they could use the current license while they wait for their own temporary.
as I'm neither with any attorney who has.
Go ahead.
Right. So this, we have corrected the personal questionnaire. We have it here with us. We've,
So I'm great that you corrected the personal questionnaire, but basically what you're telling us is that your client is incapable, whether it be because of his language barrier, because he doesn't know who to hire, of following the ABC law.
but he's now hired us, and now he understands.
Why
Well, Your Honor,
why did he sign his personal questionnaire?
Well, when he goes to the accountant, they basically make him sign, and then they fill out the information that they find. So it's.
So does that sound like someone we should be giving any kind of license to?
Well, at this moment,
He's signing a document that's about him,
right.
and he doesn't ask any questions or read it before he does it.
Well, that's why he's now hired
But you expect me to
someone.
believe that.
What I expect you to believe is that now he has proper guidance, Chairman Bradley. Now he came to us.
Even though from what you're saying, he was screwed 3 separate times by accountants, and yet he's still not reviewing the paperwork that they hand in for him.
And that's why he hired us,
So 4
Chairman
times the
Bradley.
charm.
So right now, what we've done is we've gone through everything.
Enough. I'm sure we can just vote.
Chairman Bradley, if I may, one more thing.
I'm not-
Chairman Bradley, if I may
I'm
say,
not gonna go through with-
if I may say one more thing, Chairman Bradley.
Can we vote, please?
Chairman Bradley, if I may say one more thing.
I'm gonna
The
give you the
members-
license, so keep your mouth
Yeah.
to yourself. for
Thank
now.
you, Chairman Bradley.
Members are going to vote. Commissioner Fan.
You need your own license. You can't operate your business on someone else's license. So you get this one, you need to hold on to it, follow the laws. And if you buy another business, you need to apply for that one. Okay? You can't come in here in the future saying you didn't know again, because enough already, it's 4 times.
I'm not gonna care if you know next time. All right,
And with that, I'm gonna vote.
I'm gonna vote to approve reluctantly.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, and that's it. Yep, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Good work.
All right, and now we're gonna do the Albany, the applications in Albany. First is 259 LCHAYIM LLC. 259 Albany.
Oh, God. You okay with this?
Chairman, Commissioner, members of the board, good morning. My name is Adam Bro from the law firm Myers & Myers.
Is there
I
anyone
represent-
in protest there?
No, ma'am.
All right, can you just hold on 1 second? I have a question.
Is there anyone in protest here? No.
Does anyone, somebody works for, one of the principals works for a farm winery. Is that an issue?
Well, she's not going to continue her present occupation.
All right, so let me just.
My answer would have been, it is an issue, but you said it's not an issue.
All right, let me just confirm, one of the owners works for a farm winery. Is that, are they going to continue in that job or stop?
I will not continue. And just to confirm, I'm helping out friends. I've never earned any salary or any wage from them. So
Okay.
I'm just helping friends in a project, which I kind of touch on.
Okay, the next store is 6.5 miles away, and I'm gonna find public convenience advantage and vote in the affirmative.
And Chairman Bradley.
I am as well, based on distances. There's 4 stores within 10.5 miles and the closest is 6.5 miles away, so I'm gonna vote to approve.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In the middle of nowhere.
Next is 260 Wild Upstate LLC.
260.
Yep. Yes, thank you. This is Adam Bro again. I represent the applicant, Wild Upstate as well. I'm here
Can you
with.
move close? Can you move closer to the table? Is that gonna make me be able to see him?
Well,
No.
I mean, he's a little tall.
No,
Is
it's
that the
even
issue?
worse.
Do you want him to?
We need to sit down?
Do you want us to sit down?
You can
No,
adjust
you're
it,
fine.
just
Forget it.
have Paula move the camera.
Are we filming just half his head or?
Yeah,
No, you
Paul,
can move the
Paula, if you can, are you able to move the camera on the tablet? Move it up.
There you go.
Okay.
I probably look better from nose down anyway, so.
You said it.
And this is wine only?
That's correct. This is going to be a true natural wine destination, members. And I'm here with Eve Fisher, who is one of the 2 principals of Wild Upstate. And I'm going to turn it to her for some prepared remarks, if you would allow.
But if I could just stop you, is there any opposition there?
No, sir.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Dear members of the authority, I'm here today to express my passion and excitement for a proposed natural wine shop, Wild Natural Wines in Berryville, New York. Our vision for the shop,
Ms. Fisher,
yes,
I've just been asked to interrupt you by the other commissioners. I think we're just gonna vote on this. Go ahead.
Commissioner Fan.
I really appreciate your preparation, but I think you've proved public convenience advantage. I'm going to vote in the affirmative.
And Chairman Bradley.
I'm gonna vote to approve as well.
All right, you've been approved.
thank you so much.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thanks for coming in.
The other people may want to hear your written remarks there once we get offline.
Okay, thank you.
And Paula, there's no one else in Albany, correct?
That's correct, sir.
All right, you can sign off. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is 224 Barclay Wine and Liquor, Inc.
Good morning. Michael James appearing for the applicant. Good morning, everyone. Always a pleasure. We were put over last time. I'm sorry. Getting feedback.
Move it up.
Sorry, who's here?
Thank you.
Who's that?
Who's here? Who's your client?
My client, he's the owner and sole operator. And Harpreet, he will be an employee who has a management experience in a store.
Okay.
And it was put over last time because there was concern over the financing. I did submit additional documents, amendments to the application showing that my client has over 150,000 in additional funds, 100,000 through a loan.
I know, but I asked you, what you indicated to us last time was that he applied and on the application he put 35,000, but of course there was other money invested as well, which wasn't on the application.
No, I never said that.
Am I incorrect in that?
That's,
Am I the only one remembering
no,
that?
that's how I remembered it.
So
So now you have, so hold on. So now you have another 100,000 that somebody loaned to him. The loan literally was done last week.
Correct. that was under my advice to obtain more funds, if
And
that
then
was a
you hand
concern.
in- Then you hand in bank statements from both parties.
Correct.
From December.
So, Mr.
So
if-
we
if-
don't have any evidence that any of that money was ever transferred to him.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I may, last hearing, at the last meeting, what I mentioned was that I learned that morning that my client saved additional funds. That's what I said. And I said, I will amend the
Well, that's
application.
not on the application. The additional funds are only the 100,000 that you got the loan
No,
on.
I submitted statements from my client himself. He has 42,000 in the bank and another $8,000 in his securities account. So I submitted that as well.
Go ahead.
Oh, it should be in the supplemental. I sent it to licensing as well. So that was the reason why it was put over. The promissory note sufficiently.
It was not put over to get another loan.
No, it was put over to amend the application showing the additional funds.
Correct, but you went and got a loan to try to prove that now he has more than enough money. And the loan was finalized last week.
Correct. Well, Mr. Chairman, he can get this loan after the application is approved or denied and come back and do the same thing. I mean, I handed in personal questionnaires for both lenders. You asked to amend the application and we did.
I asked you to show us the money that he had, that he was investing in the store.
Correct.
That he had when he applied.
But, Mr. Chairman, but I did not say he had additional funds when he applied. And I think we're having a miscommunication over that.
He can't get the store. That's when we ask you for the money. That's when we ask you for proof that you've invested.
But that's all the
So
funds
you're
that.
asking us
So,
to give you a
okay, so
license based on an application that shows he didn't have enough money to open the store.
so let's go back for
Am I
1 second.
crazy or is he not understanding?
My recollection is what the chairman is saying, is that there was a statement that those weren't all the funds he had, that he had gotten other funds. And, let me finish. And you were asked, or the applicant was asked to amend the financial disclosure information to account for those funds.
Can I respond? What I said was I'd learned my client had saved up additional funds throughout the application process. Not everyone has all of the money up front. You asked me, why didn't you amend the application then? That was at the point. I said, okay, fair point. Can I please amend the application? It is on video.
Yeah, but
It
the financial, the list of expenses form says, what do you anticipate this is going to cost you to get going?
Correct.
And the chairman questioned that. And that's when we found out there was other funds that were being used.
So if I may, I spoke about the landlord giving concessions. I went back to the lease. The lease says on the rent commencement date, it specifically says rent doesn't start until the business opens. I said I would get a letter. I don't need the letter. We submitted the lease showing he has not been paying rent this entire time. So as far as additional funds we needed, he had the funds once he signed the lease and opened the business. Chairman Bradley said, hey, he doesn't have enough money for inventory. He has $50,000 of its own money at this point that I submitted. So even if you discount the $100,000.
Do you understand how you're doing this? This application came in May of 2022. You're handing me bank statements from November that shows he has an extra $8,000 in his account.
It's more than
You're
8,000.
supposed to have the amount in the application that you're investing. And that covers the expenses. $35,000 is what you put down. I don't care what the rent was. You can't stock the store for that amount of money.
Correct. We have additional funds.
Right, now you have an extra $100,000. Do I need to do this for every liquor store that comes in? Oh, by the way, when you borrowed more money during our review of the application, now we're going to take that in as invested as well. When do we stop?
So Chairman Bradley, you asked to see money for
I know
inventory.
what I asked, right.
Right.
I asked at the time that you filed the application. You showed me what he had at the time of Thanksgiving.
Okay. Chairman Bradley, you asked to amend the application, which would not have been at the time that he filed the application.
You are talking in circles.
How are you related to the person who is giving the loan?
He's my friend.
He's your friend?
Yes. We both, I'm sorry,
It's
friends
okay.
at retail. I used to work in a liquor store before from 2019 to 2021.
Okay.
He's the guy who used to put an ATM machine in stores. So he used to stop by all the businesses in Brooklyn and he puts ATM machines in all the stores. That's why we know him.
Is he
ATMs
here?
allowed in liquor stores?
He's not here.
And the only thing
Wait,
that,
He just said
No, no,
ATM.
no.
in
He's in stores. He's in stores, not in liquor stores.
Oh,
but in
I
stores.
see.
and the only
Okay.
thing securing this
I see.
loan is gonna be his inventory,
Correct,
$100,000.
correct.
It's at an
That's
8% interest too. We're paying.
Actually,
So
it's a
he's gonna
personal
get
guarantee.
So is that, is this?
It's also a personal guarantee.
Is this borrower, he personally guaranteed it himself.
Right, that's what a personal guarantee is.
So he didn't sign it as a corporation, he signed it himself.
But a personal guarantee is your personal
But he
guarantee.
signed the loan, he had a personal guarantee. There was no corporation involved in that. I read the paperwork. He signed it as an individual.
Okay, so then he's personally liable for it in either sense.
Wait, if he signed the loan, then how can he use the alcoholic beverages as collateral?
He can't, because then the person has to have a license to buy it.
No, because only the licensee
I
can pledge the alcoholic beverages as collateral.
I will check the loan documents. I believe BRAE signed it. BRAE is the borrower, not him personally.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes, he's right.
At Barclays? I didn't see that. I
Yeah,
saw he
the
signed it as an
borrower-
individual.
The borrower is the wine store.
Oh, all right. But it still doesn't matter. You're securing, you're securing the loan with the inventory.
Well, that
correct.
actually is permissible because we actually have a permit that we would issue to the lender if they come into possession of the alcoholic beverages as collateral to then sell the alcoholic beverages.
Look, 4 of the 6 stores have no numbers. The remaining 2 are showing growth. He's showing the numbers. The dates are a little off, but I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna vote to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I'm voting to deny. There's 6 stores within half a mile of this location. The closest store is within 2 blocks or 4 blocks of the location, all within walking distance. I don't see public convenience and advantage. And I also question the application with the investment. The timing of the money that's coming in here, the money's supposed to be coming in when the application is submitted. Here, it's coming in November and February.
Okay, Chairman, if.
Thank you.
But with a split vote, it's.
No, I understand, but I just wanted to make clear, if I come back and quote for the record, the conversation that we had, will that be taken as that's the record? Because that's what I do remember.
The point I'm making is that, and I've tried to make this to you, when you submit the application, that's when you're supposed to show us what you have invested. Not 5 months later, 6 months later. It's when you submit it.
Correct.
You didn't.
But, one second. Mr. Chairman Bradley, if you had said that day, at the first meeting, there would be no reason to put it over, as we could not have amended at that point. There's no way to amend an
I thought you were
application.
amending it to show me that there was more money at the time you filed the application. Mr. Romano is nodding his head. He thought the same thing.
That's not what okay, I'll go back and look.
Mr. James,
and-
also, if
yes.
you listen to Chairman, that was not the only reason for him voting to deny either. So you will, again, split vote. It's denied.
I'll wait for the
But
letter.
even with the financial documentation, he said other reasons as well, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Next is 240, Fine Spirits LLC.
Do you remember?
Okay. Are you friends? Yes. Yeah, tell them to come up. Oh. Okay. Ready? Robert Romano again. I'm here with Roshan Kara, who is the principal of Fine Spirits LLC. This is a reconsideration request. He had originally been told by his expediter, Mr. Boyle, not to appear, or he had no reason to appear. I don't know if he told him not to appear, but he said there's no reason to appear at the hearing. At the hearing, it was mentioned several times by both of you, both the chairman and the commissioner, that he should have appeared. It certainly, I'm not saying it was the only factor in your denial, but it seemed to be a significant factor by your words.
Who's the applicant and who's everybody else?
Okay.
I'm the applicant, and these are my friend, my brother, and customers and friends.
If you can put your names on the record, just for-
Okay.
Okay.
So
names-
you're the only one working, no employees?
Yes, no employees.
Okay.
Just, they're here for support. My name is Roshan
No, but
Kara.
you will have employees at the store.
Yes, we already.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Do you want to get your names on the record?
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and put your names. Yeah.
My name Jeff White.
My name is Avtar Chand.
And Leon Holmes.
Okay, thank you.
I
Is
believe
there any
it-
opposition or no? No.
And how far is the gas station from this location?
It's next door.
Next door.
and he has a stellar record.
Been there 11 plus years.
Okay.
And I believe we've submitted letters from both the mayor, the planning board chairperson, state senator, all in favor. They're all familiar with Roshan and familiar with his operation. They find that it would serve the public convenience and advantage to grant the license. We've immediately, within several days, he submitted to me a petition of several hundred local residents asking for the approval of this application.
650.
650 names. And I have to say that came within a week. It clearly, I believe that the mayor, the planning board, and the state senator know this area better than I do. And I would say probably most people in this room. And they're clearly in favor. The closest store is a significant enough distance away that I don't believe that his new store will have any significant impact.
Okay.
And that the approval of this application would serve to public convenience and advantage.
What?
I have to say, when he was denied, he was pretty much blindsided, given the advice he had been given by his expediter. And immediately.
Well, you've been in here longer than I have. When do we hand out liquor stores without somebody showing up?
I was not, I agree. I agree. Well, it happens on, right. Well, he's not familiar with the process. I wasn't representing.
His expediter, I mean, shouldn't have been.
Oh, especially given his history, yes.
I just wanted to check.
Yep.
Okay, Donald, go ahead.
All right, Commissioner Fan on request for reconsideration.
I'm gonna vote yes on reconsideration.
As
There
will I.
are some new letters that came in.
And on the application.
I'm going to vote to approve.
Thank you.
Chairman Bradley.
I'll vote to approve as well. The closest store didn't respond. The second closest stores, which is 2.2 miles away, the sales are mostly up, and then after that, the
Yeah.
third closest and fourth closest are over 10 miles away, so a little competition never hurt anybody. So.
Well, I don't know if
Good
that's
luck.
true, but.
Thanks for coming down.
I appreciate it.
I
Thank
hope
you,
you
sir.
guys make a day out of it.
Oh, we're gonna try. Thank you so much.
Have fun.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next is 243 Brayburn Country Club, Inc.
Robert Romano here for Brayburn Country Club. This was more of a misunderstanding than anything.
I'm gonna accept
Yeah.
And Chairman Bradley.
letter of warning.
Yeah, I'll accept.
Thank you.
241 and 242 La Isle del Tesoro Bar Restaurant, Inc.
Robert Romano, it's a conditional no contest plea of $14,000 of satisfaction in full for both cases.
I'm gonna withdraw charge 1 and charge 6.
Right.
I'm gonna accept the 14,000, but
Right.
156
I have a
visits is
question for
not
Mr.
good.
Romano.
So wait, we're withdrawing those two charges at the request of counsel's office.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay, so in your letter, you said that the applicant's going to offer a greater range of food items.
They've already,
This is a restaurant. Is the kitchen working?
yes.
And I wasn't
According,
mentioning in the letter.
I had that conversation about the kitchen yesterday with the client, so.
Okay, 'cause it's not just a greater range, it's a full restaurant.
Right, desserts, appetizers.
Yeah, and I'll vote to accept the 14,000 too, but given where this is and what's going on, this is probably it.
I totally understand and get it. Thank you very much, everyone.
Yep, thank you. And next is 272, Planta SOHO LLC. Is the applicant here? Or the applicant? Okay. Is your attorney here or you just, okay. No.
You're doing this. So I'll start yelling it. That's his name.
All right.
Hello. Hi, how are you?
Are you,
We don't need the applicant first.
but yeah, the applicant can put their names on the record first and then we'll hear
Good
from
morning,
opposition.
Donald Bernstein on behalf of the applicant. With me is Stephen Somm, who is the principal owner. We also have Mr. Firestein here to address acoustic issues.
Okay, you can have a seat because I think obviously all these opposition, I'm assuming you didn't bring any with you, Mr. Bernstein.
Opposition with me? No.
No, I mean support.
Just me.
Okay, you can have a seat, you and your clients. Go ahead.
All right, who wants to go first?
I'd rather the community board go first because we're not going to keep repeating the same stuff.
Okay. Hi, Chairman Bradley, Commissioner Fan. Nice to see you in person. I'm Donna Raftery, co-chair of Community Board 2's SLA committee, and I'm really here to support our resolution and to support the letter that we sent in on Friday, which I hope you had a chance to read. I would just like to point out, as you're very well aware, there is a lot of opposition to the rear side yard use with this application. And I wanted to highlight that it's not just the seating out there, but it's also the main entrance that everybody, all the patrons inside will be coming and going through. So not only will you have the people outside sitting there, but you'll have the 54 people from the inside going in and out of that. And that's a noise that is more commonly experienced on the street side of the building, not in the rear yards of.
Do you mean
of
that they
buildings.
are not entering through 6th Avenue, but rather than?
Yeah, they're not,
that
right, the
side
main
entrance
entrance
that
is
has-
from Prince Street into that side yard and then into the building.
Okay.
So that's basically, I just wanted to make sure that it's not just the 44 people, it's those people that are doing that. And as our letter also pointed out, they did not eliminate the idea of having sidewalk seating. So they may have sidewalk seating in the future and then you'll have.
Meaning on 6th Avenue?
On 6th Avenue or on Prince
Which is
Street.
the big sidewalk.
Which is a big sidewalk.
And then the Prince.
Or
Street,
on
which is
Prince Street,
narrow.
so they could wrap the whole thing in addition to that rear yard seating. And those noise levels of the rear yards, that's, I mean, you're used to more of that sidewalk seating noise being on the street side, not in those rear yards. So you've got all the information, it's just what I wanted to point out.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Booth, you?
I'm gonna stick it in, not.
No, I'd rather you go first, just because you're going to cover probably most of the points they're going to hit.
Yeah, I was just here,
You're here for.
I'm here on behalf of the community board as well. I was speaking with Donna a little bit more on the history here, because this situation, I'll back up for a second. So this is at the lower end of McDougal Street. You're familiar with McDougal Street. This is the southern end. It T-bones right into this location. This location has 80 feet of frontage on Prince Street, which is all eligible for sidewalk seating and roadbed seating. It may not be a part of the application now, but as soon as that program becomes permanent, that's going to be a part of the impact of this restaurant as they most likely apply. This restaurant has been designed for maximal impact on local residents. And the reason is because the main entrance is through the rear yard. In 2014, I spent a considerable time testifying with Council Marsico, who was up here earlier, with respect to a restaurant that had an entrance through the rear yard. Every single person through the entire operation of that business goes through the rear yard. There are no conditions that you can put on a license to minimize that. The entire concept is designed around the front door in the rear yard.
Is
And
there no entrance on 6th Avenue?
there is an entrance, but as you can see in the diagram before you, that is not the main entrance. There's even a host stand in the rear yard.
Yeah.
So every single person goes through, which is the maximal impact that you could have. It's not even a rear yard, you close it down, et cetera. This is the full design of this. It's also the front of the business is similar to Il Patino, which Chairman Bradley, you may remember I was up here quite a while ago in 2017, 2018, just sidewalk seating fronting on a New York City park, even though it's not part of this application. Again, the entrance here on the west side on 6th Avenue is actually into a New York City park, which divides it between the road. So these are conditions that are a little bit unique here. So it's
Which, and I've talked to you about this here as well as in private meetings. This is a problem New York City is not dealing with.
I trust me. That's we've had
You
this.
have an advocate in me
And-
understanding exactly what you're talking about, but it's out of our realm.
And while the applicant also points out here with respect to, there's plenty of outdoor seating, Community Board 2, the last time we compiled the numbers, had over 1,000 outdoor dining setups on the sidewalks and on the roadbed. It is the most of any community board in New York City. CB3 trailed us with 894 and CB5 with 891. That's where they can be with, as it's unclear what the permanent program will be, but they can clearly be out on the sidewalk in the roadway. That's without considering the rear yard. This is a huge outside area. So the noise impact here is pretty significant, not including the rear yard, the potential. So I just wanted to bring those issues.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So the property line goes up to this building?
From what I can see, that looks like on the right side is the rear of the restaurant, which is actually the entrance.
Right.
And on the left side is to the adjoining building, which is.
Right, but the way they're showing it at least in this picture, it looks like this is,
That's the entry.
this is the entrance.
Right.
And there's no tables here.
I'm going by the diagram that's submitted to you for an example.
Which has tables.
Which has tables and chairs. And you can actually see the hostess stand in the entryway there. And as a side note, 202 Prince Street does not exist as an address. They'd have to file for that address. It's either 204, I think it's 202, 204 6th Avenue. 204 Prince Street, 202 Prince Street, 200 Prince Street, but just that somebody who used to be with you used to always complain to me about addresses not existing. And I think those are the main points. Oh, and on top of that, there's music outside. From what we understand from the application. And so it's not just simply an application for a restaurant that closes at midnight on the weekends and 11 during the week. It's a significant impact for this community. That's why you have so many letters from the community. I'm sure you're gonna hear lots of other details. The area does have a significant number of licenses in the immediate area. If you go down from King Street on McDougal, which is right there, you have Niche, 12 chairs, Emmett's, Schuco, Lola Taverna, all with outdoor dining structures and sidewalk seating. Also across the street is Little Prince. So the area has already a significant impact. That's why people are concerned. And
If
I'll
anyone have
keep it
any comments
at
on
that.
how the distillery on the other side of 6th Avenue have impacted, I really want to.
I have a
understand that.
comment for you guys on that.
That's
I'm-
almost exactly the same thing that we did there.
I was not going to raise this, but you did not approve the outdoor dining that they have. And if you go back to your hearing, that outdoor side yard was not included as part of the application. I do not know if they filed an application. You disapproved the first license that was before you for them, even though it was a distillery license, because you did not trust the applicant, because they were selling beer inappropriately from that location.
Right.
You turned it down, and you specifically, Mr. Fan had said, I don't trust them with the outside. That's not part of the application. We'll go ahead and license this because it's the inside. Now they have a 200-seat outdoor restaurant, on the side. So I just bring that up as part of this. And I don't know.
Was that part of COVID?
Because when you walk down 6th Avenue,
No, I'm asking him because
it's
back
like
when we
hundreds of people, you can feel it.
we let the adjacent property, if you owned it, you could make that outdoor. They probably added, I'm assuming they added it on during COVID and never shut.
No, it was on October 14th, when the hearing was before you in 2020. And yeah, I just bring it up because, this is the frustration from us is with outdoor seating. It always gets applied for down the road, and the impact is not often measured at the time of the application because they can do it. So, thank you.
Hi, my name is Caleb Oglesby. I live at 118 Sullivan. The rear of my apartment is very close to the back entrance, or the back of the proposed patio space. The concerns
When you say close, like how close? Like what does close mean?
within 80 feet, maybe.
Okay.
The concern over the sound within the donut of all the yards that are enclosed between Sullivan and 6th Avenue and Prince and Spring, there's a lot of reverberation, and any noise in those spaces tends to be amplified really easily. And the idea of an open space with 14 seated tables is of concern. And they have suggested that this roller cover solution that they're going to be using will mitigate this issue. But from the Torch and Crown, they've used the same solution. And in the terms of some of their neighbors, the sound is intolerable. So my concern is that this will continue to be an issue and really affect the quality of life.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Deborah Clearman. I also live at 118 Sullivan Street, and my apartment faces the rear yard and within about 80 feet of the proposed restaurant with outdoor seating. I also am very concerned about sound, but my neighbor just addressed that. I do work at home, and this noise, constant noise from in the afternoons and evenings will affect my work. But I'm here to testify about oversaturation of restaurants in our immediate vicinity within 500 feet of the proposed location. We have at least 14 active OP liquor licenses and a total of 31 if you include beer and wine. Within 750 feet, there's at least 32 active OP licenses, 61 if you include beer and wine. Many of these establishments do maintain sidewalk seating, which affects access of people who live in the area to their apartments. This is a residential neighborhood. It's only on the street that you have commercial use. And these are longtime residents, seniors, families with young children, whose quality of life will be impacted by the oversaturation, which has mushroomed in the last 5 or 10 years with many, many new restaurants opening up. This brings in problems of vermin, noise, and rowdy and antisocial behavior that has a huge impact on the people who live here. You've gotten many letters from us. I've sent 2 to the SLA, and I sent others to the community board. And you've heard a lot from the community, from our community representatives, as well as elected officials. So that's basically what I'm here to talk about.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Bill Abrams. I live at 118 Sullivan Street. I've lived in this neighborhood for 45 years, and I'm here to also oppose
this application, affirming the reasons that my two neighbors said. And what's important here in particular is this donut is really, will be a cavern of sound 7 days a week from lunchtime through late closing. So this isn't like a spot thing. And there's no evidence, despite their engineering report, that their proposed solutions will work. I think the fact that over 40 members of the community wrote in opposition to this last summer, and I believe more than 15 letters have been received, letters of protest by this group within the last week or two. I don't know from the meeting notice if they've all been, hopefully they've all been seen, as well as a very detailed legal letter from our lawyer, Barry Malin. So there's been a strong showing of opposition to this from members of the community, as well as local politicians, Deborah Glick, Council Member Betcher, State Senator Kavanaugh. And I would just close by pointing out in his ruling on the 500-foot issue, ALJ Cataldo specifically cited the noise. He questioned the validity of the engineering study and said this application would not be in the public interest and therefore should not be approved. Thank you.
Yeah, it's here and the thing's here. So
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Hi, my name is Sherry Leone. I live at 196th Avenue, which is a building that is directly on Father Fagan Park. The first thing that I wanted to point out was that this so-called wide sidewalk where the entrance is actually a public park. And as you had mentioned, that is a situation right now. That park has already, as of right, a restaurant that is putting outdoor dining at the southern end of the park. And so even though it is, as has been pointed out by their community board members, not in the application, myself and my neighbors on Father Fagan Park are very concerned that this applicant will, as of right, be able to put seating and or dining facilities out in the park on the 6th Avenue side, which again is a park, not a wide sidewalk. So I just wanted to put that in there and also say that as someone who is familiar with some of the people that do live in Torch and Crown, we have similar concerns about what would be happening in the rear. My residence also is on the donut that the other neighbors have attested to will have noise issues due to this sort of echoing effect in this giant chamber and corridor. And I can say that the people living in the rear of my building will also be affected by that issue as well.
What's your building again?
196th Avenue. It's the
196.
6th Avenue. So it's the southern end of Father Fagan Park.
Yeah.
And that building already has a tenant that is a restaurant and has outdoor seating in the southern end of the park as part of the COVID emergency outdoor dining plan.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, board members. My name is Pierre Pettigrew, and I live in 196 6th Avenue. I've lived there for about 12 years. I live in apartment 2C. It overlooks the courtyard. One thing that hasn't been mentioned here is what does this sound actually sound like from the standpoint of someone who lives on that part of the courtyard? It's very seldom that we have anyone in the courtyard, but when we do, even a voice as loud as I'm speaking now tends to reverberate. I don't know what it is about the place. It just echoes. If it's the brick walls, who knows? What would something substantially louder sound like? Well, we also sort of know that as well, because during COVID, bars were closed and people did have some areas, buildings across the way, illegal gatherings. Some were on rooftops, some were inside. And I can tell you from experience, all you needed was one open window and it was a cacophony of sound in bedrooms, impossible to sleep. At least then we could call the police. If this goes through, we're not going to be able to. So there's a lot of people that are working from home in that building. And there are people that have small newborn children as well. All these things are of a concern to me. So I'm standing here in opposition to this license. Thank you very much for your time.
So a number of points that I'd like to make, including addressing what sounds to me is like misconceptions as to what we are putting in and what we are constructing. First, I just want to note that Mr. Som, who's with me, is the principal owner. of PLANTA SOHO, and this will be a fully plant-based restaurant. Mr. Som has been doing this with this brand since 2016. He has 4 locations in Florida, in some other cities in the country, and he has 2 licenses in New York. One is on West 27th Street, and he was just issued, I think last week, a license for another plant-based restaurant in Williamsburg. This will be modeled after those restaurants. It is the same brand. The hours are as reasonable as you could possibly get for a restaurant in Manhattan. The closing hours will be 11 p.m. during the week and midnight on the weekends. The area that will be covered by the roller cover will close by 11 p.m. all nights. There is background recorded music only. There will never be a DJ, no live music, no promoters, no performances, no dancing, none of those things that would be problematic. I think that the only real issue here is what is being referred to as the courtyard. And the ALJ in his 500-foot law hearing report referred to that as a tipping point of the application. There is no issue with what is going on in the brick and mortar indoor portion. My client, recognizing the attributes of this courtyard, did not file an application seeking outdoor seating there. There is no outdoor courtyard. There is no outdoor seating. This area that was used commercially as a flower shop, it was not just vacant space, it was used for commercial activity as a flower shop, will be fully enclosed by a roller cover. A roller cover is a specific brand, and it is as permanent a structure as you can get without it being a permanent structure. Commissioner Fan, the photo that you were alluding to before, by the way, is not a photo of our roller cover. That's one in the Arlo Hotel. I just wanted you to see what it looks like. Ours has not been constructed yet, but I do want to note that the facade of that area that will have the roller cover has been approved by New York City Landmarks Preservation Commission. We already have approval for that. The roller
To build this wall.
Yes, that is what's being built, and that has been approved by Landmarks, correct. And then right behind that will be the roller cover. There are a number of hotels with rooftops, courtyards, backyards, side yards, and restaurants with these roller cover structures that have been approved by the authority. I've listed them in my letter, at least half a dozen of them, with links so you can actually see what it looks like. The total seating in this area is only 44 seats. That's all we're talking about.
44 seats inside?
44 seats in the space that will be covered by the roller cover. Then the interior portion will have, I believe, another 50 some odd seats.
I thought you said roller cover doesn't have seats.
No, that was a misconception. I think, because you were looking at a photograph.
So roller cover does have seats. It's 44 seats inside the roller cover.
Yes, it's a full restaurant. This is a full restaurant in that space.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the
And
maximum.
what about inside?
Inside, there are about 60.
44.
44 plus you have, I think, 6 bar stools.
Six bar stools.
Yeah.
So total of 50, interior 44.
How
exterior
about 48 seats and 6 seats at the bar? That's what's in the application.
40?
You don't own this space, do you?
We lease it.
Why here? Why are you turning this store into a restaurant when there are empty restaurants all over Soho?
So Commissioner Fan and Chairman Bradley, very nice to meet you, and thank you for the opportunity to speak and present Planta. What we are creating starting in 2016 is a plant-based restaurant that is intended to completely change people's perception and the way that they understand plant-based cuisine. We have signed this lease in October of 2021. We have been obviously met with resistance, and I do thank the community very much for their hearing their points and opposition. We are in no means trying to create something that is not welcomed by the community. We are in no means trying to create something that is not in line with what I believe Soho would greatly benefit from. You know, Forbes identified our restaurant group as one of the most important restaurant groups that is expanding across the United States. I have personally started this company 11 years ago. We hold 13 liquor licenses, have never had a citation, noise violation, or a complaint against any license. I live, breathe, and die by the success of our guests. We are relentless over customer feedback and support, truly proven operators. I understand and hear all of the concerns around outdoor noise. We are not asking for a license in an outdoor space. We are proposing a fully covered courtyard that represents 50% of the seats inside of this space. Our kitchen closes at 10:30 p.m. The last guest is out of our restaurant by 11 p.m.
Let me just address.
Yeah.
If I can just address some other points.
Yeah, but you understand that if this was an open courtyard and you happen to live in these buildings and you propose this to where they're living, it's not ideal.
Yes, which is why it's not an open courtyard. That's the point I
Whether
want
it's
to make.
open or not, I mean, you're taking up public space.
It's not public space. This is private. This is privately owned commercial space. It is not public space. It was used as an outdoor flower shop. It had a commercial use. This was not vacant. This was not residential.
Why not just put a hard
You're
roof on it?
adding a
Why
facade
do
with
you
your
need
restaurant name on the side of the street.
Why do you need the opening? I mean, this rollback rolls back, correct?
We can, look, if you tell us we can't open it, we will not open it. And
I'm
it
just
will.
asking why, they clearly have a huge issue with it being open. It's clear they don't trust this roof either, but they clearly have an issue with it being open at all, the space. So my question is, why wouldn't you just propose to put a hardcore roof?
I don't know if there's FAR for it.
I don't either.
They don't
Yeah,
have
so
FAR
probably cannot.
add.
But it
That's why
is,
they're just,
but I'd like Mr. Firestein to speak to that. And if you tell us that we cannot open that, it will not be open at any time. So Mr. Firestein has done studies of this. He has tested it acoustically and will speak on that. I just want to point out that there are other applications that you have dealt with, such as glass ceiling involving outdoor space. A lot of neighbors concerned about it, and you've said you got to enclose it. That's what we're doing here. We are fully enclosing that. And I also want to point out that what if we get,
I don't know if you want to use them as an example.
okay, if we want to get, if we get all of this space licensed, Mr. Som would agree not to apply for DOT seating on the sidewalk of the street, which I think is a much better situation for the residents, because then there will actually be no outdoor seating whatsoever. Commissioner Fan, you asked about why this area. This is not a saturated area. There are only 15 licenses within 500 feet. I think 4 or 5.
Aqua Grill has been empty for how many years now?
Which place?
Aqua Grill, which is just one block down Spring Street. I mean, there is empty, ready-to-go restaurants that you can sign a lease with and just go in. But you're choosing to do this because this has a lot of outdoor seating. That's why they're upset.
I can speak to Aqua Grill specifically. We looked at the space. I have very dear memories of living 1 block away from that restaurant for my entire upbringing. That space, to bring it up to ADA code, is probably $750,000. The space is on 4 different levels with prep space down below, inadequate indoor dining capabilities, and the expense of taking their really challenging outdoor space. It was after we ultimately declined it, it was leased by the Cipriani Group, and they couldn't make sense of the investment and ultimately decided not to open up that restaurant. We have been, I mean, we are not investing in this neighborhood. We have signed this lease 16 months ago. We have been waiting to get onto this hearing for 13 months. We recognize and understand that there is resistance to this, and we are proposing to have an enclosed space. I am willing to not file anything with DOTC to have any outdoor seating, any sidewalk cafes. The reason that we want to have the entrance off of Prince Street is because it is a much more pedestrian and calmer space. Our restaurants are 81% food sales, but it is really, really challenging to do my job and try to convince society that eating plant-based is better for you and better for the environment, and not having them have the ability to be able to get a glass of wine or a martini at their
Well,
convenience.
that's not a, listen, I'm not a plant-based person, but since I've been here, we have not had alcohol issues with your type of restaurant. I don't think anybody's concerned about that. I'm not, at least. I don't expect it's going to turn into a vegetarian nightclub.
I think that goes to one of the.
The mayor will come.
I think that goes to one of the comments that was made about it being rowdy and loud. I just don't think that that's the
No,
case.
I
But
don't think that's the concern. I think it's the presence.
but the presence, I don't know why that is an issue. There is nothing
Because we
about.
don't live there and they do.
But there are people that live all over the city where there are restaurants and buildings. There's nothing special. I mean, you could say there's something special about every block in the city. There's nothing unusual about this block where you have to say, no restaurants on this block. You can have a restaurant 2 blocks away across the street, but on this block, no restaurant. That to me does not make sense. And I think if you go through the elements of the 500-foot law on this application, you do not have saturation, you do not have noise issues because it is all fully enclosed. And with that point, may I have Mr. Firestein address the issue relating to the roller cover, which I think is critical here.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Alan Firestein. I founded Acoustalog in 1976. I'm the only consultant there. I've always been the only consultant there, and I've done 18,000 jobs since 1976. I've measured a lot of sound from people, from things that block sound, from things that do not block sound. I did an analysis based on measurements I personally made at 11:30 at night in this location. The worst, most sensitive location in this space is all the way in the back, far from the sidewalk. I think I understand one of the objections to be that people are going to be going in and out of the rear space. No, they're going in and out of this enclosed space from the sidewalk, which happens to be very close to 6th Avenue. So keep that in mind. Every time I heard someone say outdoor, outdoor, outside, it's not outdoor, it's not outside, it's enclosed. It's enclosed by a roller cover. Roller cover is essentially like a large window. Virtually every restaurant has windows. You guys don't ask how good the windows are. Sometimes you don't even ask whether the windows are open or closed. I've measured roller covers. They average dBA-wise 17 decibels of noise reduction, which is pretty good. And based on the number of people talking in there, which I originally was told was going to be 35, now I understand it's 42 or something like that, which is an almost insignificant 1 decibel difference. The sound level would be below the background noise, even at 11:30 at night, in the most sensitive place in the very far back of the space. Now, in fact, the roller cover is an enclosure that will act like a building and will reduce noise to the back courtyard. Right now, it's open. I was in there, and it was a flower shop. Now, it's not a flower shop at night, because when I was there, the flower shop was closed, but they let me in. I saw flowers and plants and pots all over the place. But it's open. It's open to the sidewalk. Now, you don't get much sound in there from 6th Avenue all the way in the back. You do get a lot of sound when a motorcycle, car, or truck goes on Prince Street, because then it travels down that corridor. So I don't like noise. I opposed Mr. Bernstein about, 2 months ago, right here, because they wanted to put in an outdoor space without a roller cover, right? And I opposed them for that reason. And I think you guys agreed with me. I really don't like noise. I try to solve it. I have a customer right now who wants to put a rooftop in the west side. I don't want to tell what street it is, but it starts with the letter C. And he wants to have an enclosure around 3/4 of it. And I have to call him today and tell him, no, you got to close the whole thing. You're surrounded by 3 residential buildings. It's not quite as, they're not quite as close as these buildings are to this particular space, but it's close enough that, yeah, it's going to be a problem. So the roller cover consists of the cover. As I understand it, people want to put these in because it doesn't add to the FAR. It has to be openable. And sometimes people negotiate with the community board and say, okay, we won't open it after a certain time or at all. And sometimes I tell people right in the beginning, you don't even negotiate. You can't open it at all. I did one of those down on Washington Street. You have to, because it's completely enclosed around the corner. If you have any questions.
Can you further reduce the sound by using either ceiling hangings or anything like that with these things?
Well, that's a common misconception.
I had no conception, that's why I asked.
Well, no, I mean, most people think that when you have acoustic absorbing tiles like this, these are 2 foot by 2 foot sound absorbing tiles. They reduce reverberation. I'll give you a quick lesson. I think it'll be helpful for you. I promise to take more than 40 seconds. When sound bounces up and down in a room, it gets a little louder because the sound that's here right now bounces a second later and adds to the sound that's still lingering in the room. So if the sound reduction occurs because the reverberation is reduced, you don't get the second bounce or the third or the fourth bounce adding to the first one, which is still lingering. So if you reduce what's called the reverberation time, and I designed, and I got into this because I built a reverberation timer. I'm digressing, but I know all about reverberation. And my first customer was Radio City. That was my first customer. When you reduce the sound that's bouncing up and down, up and down, and up and down, you're doing it because it's not adding to previously existing sound that's still lingering. But it only takes one bounce to go through a wall, a window, a roller cover, a floor, a ceiling to get into the other space. And then the material doesn't help. So while it does actually reduce the reverberation, which makes it easier for people to talk, and then they don't have to raise their voices as much. So to your point, Commissioner, it's a good idea because it makes it more comfortable for the customers. And in a small sense, it reduces the amount of over talking they have to do. I hate it when I come out of a restaurant and my voice is sore because they didn't put any absorbing material anywhere and you have to shout to talk to the person across the table from you. You know, we've all been through that. So they could put absorbing material, and I always tell people they can do that. I usually recommend this stuff that looks like SpaghettiOs glued together, which is called these sound silencer panels. They're cheap. You can put it behind planters and things like that. You don't even have to see them. You can put ivy in front of them. The sound goes through the ivy, it gets absorbed, and you don't have as much reverberation. It sounds like a deader space. So, and right now, in fact, I think that space in between these, what they're calling the outdoor courtyard, which again is not outdoors, there's 2 parallel walls, so you can't get reverberation reflection, which some of the people talked about. You can't get that. So I don't want to have that inside the enclosed space. So if they want to put that in, I think that's good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else, Mr. Burns?
And I think to add to that, that if Mr. Firestein recommends that we put in some soundproofing materials, I'm sure that we can do that, and we'll do that to add to that. So I think in total, as you look at this plant-based restaurant with a very early closing hour and all of it being enclosed, I think we have met the public interest test.
Members ready to vote?
What are the hours again?
11 p.m. closed during the week and midnight on Friday and Saturday. These seats under the roller cover will close at 11 p.m. every night, as early as you can get for a restaurant in Manhattan.
The kitchen will close at 10:30 p.m. and 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday.
And we just opened another one of your places. Where's that?
We opened,
Williamsburg.
yeah, Williamsburg.
Yeah, Brooklyn. Okay.
Brooklyn, yeah. So Wythe Avenue, and then another one. We have one on 27th Street.
You ready?
Can I address a couple of issues they raised?
If she wants, I don't need to hear you, but if she wants to, you can. You want to hear it? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to address, first of all, the 500-foot rule is not just 500 feet. If you read your own materials, it's the subdivision, municipality, this is the community board. I already mentioned there are over 1,000 outdoor dining structures in the area, but with that said,
Saying the 500-foot rule is not just the 500-foot rule?
it's class character not only in the area where the establishment will be located, but also in the particular municipality or subdivision of the municipality.
So you want us to consider all of Manhattan?
No, and what I'm saying is that, well, community board too, is certainly an area which has.
So are you saying that we should consider the subdivision that you tell us to consider?
Well, I read from your materials, not from ours. There are 90,000 people in the community board, and there are over 1,000 outdoor structures. First of all, this was the back of a Korean deli that sold flowers. Talking about it as a flower shop, it was open to the street. When it was open, there was not a wall. So that's one. Number two, this premises, the property is already overbuilt. They are not allowed to put a cover. It is a rear yard. To talk about it in any other way is
I understand.
circular.
And you may be right, I'm not telling you you're not right, but you come in here a lot and tell us what people aren't permitted to do with their buildings. And you may be exactly right, but then they go do it. And if the city of New York is not going to enforce either your version of law or the proper version of law, or whatever it may be, you might have the proper version of law, then they are allowed to do it. That's unfortunate, but we're not here to enforce their building code.
That may be, but as I've said, we disagree on the permits are supposed to be in place before the license is issued and also before these hearings. And that's in the law as well.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's for whatever it may be.
Telling us the permit is required. If they're not going to enforce it, then to us, it's not required.
I don't think that that's correct, but that's as it may be. And I just go back to the fundamental design flaw of this space, the entry through an outdoor rear yard. No matter if you cover it, it's an outdoor rear yard. You will never see anything that tells you this is anything but a rear yard, because that's what it is. Just because you put a roller cover on this area does not make it an interior space or an interior restaurant. Thank you.
I just have to respond to that comment. It is not outdoor space. If you take a giraffe and you put a sign on him that says elephant, it's not an elephant, it's a giraffe. Learn that in law school.
All right, here we go.
You did?
I think it's a good.
But you said
It's a
it was, in the application, you said it was an outdoor space.
Until they put the roller
It's-
cover on it.
It was outdoor space that will be fully enclosed. It will not, this restaurant will not be operated with outdoor space.
All I'm saying is, in the application, you said it was an outdoor space. So it was a giraffe.
Okay,
Or an
let
elephant.
me vote.
Mr. Fan's ready. All right.
All right. I think when you get 40, 50 letters from people who live there, by definition, there is no public interest, no matter how you argue it. This location was previously licensed as a grocery store. So I will go ahead and license the portion that is within the actual building. 11 p.m. Sunday to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, midnight. Recorded music only. I'm not licensing the portion that is actually no building.
Can I just ask you to clarify, though, when you say there's, by definition, no public interest, you mean no public interest in licensing the part with the rollaway cover?
Yes, because they are against it.
Okay. The rest of it, you find public interest in licensing? The indoors, I mean. I'm just asking you to
Yes,
clarify because.
I find
of where
public
this may end
interest
up.
in licensing the indoor portion of it because it was previously licensed as a grocery store.
Okay.
And if I can add, we did submit about 30 letters in support.
Yes,
that
we
you
did
received.
get those, yeah.
Okay.
All right, Chairman.
Yeah, I'll do the same.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep, you've been approved.
No restriction.
Next is 257 Davis Park Liquors, Inc.
Now, if we win, we don't know.
257.
Yeah.
What's the number?
All right, it's 257. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Patrick DeLuca, for the applicant.
Withdraw charge 3.
Oh, this is a package store application. 257.
Who's with you, Mr. DeLuca?
Mr. Chandler and Mr. Vigiano, they originally purchased the deli next door as well as the liquor store, but the.
It's on Fire Island, right?
Fire Island, yeah, they're alone in that village. The closest other store, you'd have to take a ferry or a water taxi or brave the
So you're telling me
dunes.
the store that's 3.7 miles away is on the mainland?
Yeah,
They're all on the mainland?
there's nothing in this town except this.
Even anywhere on Fire Island or just?
No, there is. The closest one would be Cherry Grove, which you'd have to take a water taxi to get to. If you walk the dunes or the beach anytime after 6 o'clock, you're gonna,
All right, so now my next question is,
Gonna
you
be
don't have a
eaten.
seasonal liquor store license. How does that work?
oh, the previous owner, I did that license. We put it in safekeeping when he closes. He leaves it there.
We have an advisory that addresses what a licensee should do with their product while the license is in safekeeping, so you should read the advisory.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Black had always, just closed the doors. It's not a crime place. It's freezing.
Okay. I think we're ready, Donna.
Commissioner Fan
I'm gonna vote to approve. Thank you.
and Chairman Bradley.
I'm going to vote to approve as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Members, with the previous issue with the Latino client, that happens quite a bit. That's, our office is bilingual. Two of our staff speak Spanish for that reason. It happens so often.
Okay.
Next is 256 A&R Liquor Store Corp. 256. Are you opposition, Mr. Lynn, or are you applicant?
Opposition is here.
Did you sign it in or no?
Yes, I signed it in.
256 is 303 Schenectady Avenue.
Yeah, A&R Liquor Store.
Okay.
Hello, good morning, board members.
Good morning.
Can you put your names on the record?
Sure. My name is Randy Gonzalez.
And my name is Alonso Buendia.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Lynn, go ahead. Let him speak. You guys can have a seat in the front there.
Charles Lynn in protest of this application for a retail liquor store at 303 Schenectady Avenue. With me today is Sheng Jiang. He's the owner of W&K Liquors at 293 Troy Avenue.
Okay.
As far as proximity and saturation, the public is already being well serviced by the current stores in the neighborhood of Crown Heights, Brooklyn. Applicant is apparently a bulletproof store with no internet sales. It is, more specifically, there are 5 stores just 1,200 feet from the applicant. There's American Best Wines, which is 731 feet from the applicant, and that's bulletproof. W&K Liquors, my client, 845 feet from applicant. He's bulletproof. Maca Utica Discount at 905 feet from the applicant. That store's bulletproof. 271 Troy Avenue Liquor, 1,061 feet from the applicant. That's an open store. And the last one is Schenectady Liquor at 12, which is 1,232 feet from applicant. I believe that is a bulletproof store. But it's also important to note that Empire Carnival is a huge box store, probably the biggest store in Crown Heights, is but 1,600 feet from applicant, and that is an open store. As far as gross sales, apparently there were 2 of the stores, of the 4 stores, the figures were unavailable. However, gross sales figures of the stores these are all small stores with no discernible evidence of large or significantly increasing sales. There was a recent disapproval. This was at the full board on 7/14/2021. The application of L&W 333 Corp. at 333 Albany Avenue under serial number 133001, and it was disapproved at the same application on reconsideration on September 15, 2021 for public convenience and advantage. The location at 233 Albany Avenue was but 0.3 miles away, 2 blocks from the applicant. This was a disapproval of an open store, not even a bulletproof store. As far as the demographics, applicant zip code 11213 evidences stagnant population growth in the area from 2010 of 63,676 to 67,382 over the entire 10-year period. So as to public convenience and advantage,
There's no evidence that applicant will be supplying any new lines of products or any new services that the current stores are now supplying, which is basically kosher wines. There's no evidence of increased demand for alcoholic beverages based upon population, which is stagnant. There's no discernible evidence of increased demand for alcoholic beverages based upon the revenue reports from the nearby stores. There's no showing that the public is not being adequately served by the existing stores. And it's a little surreal that within Crown Heights, there are 39 active stores within a radius of 1.4 miles, besides the 5 that are right on top of this applicant. The applicant will be a bulletproof store with no internet sales, or not adding any public convenience advantage to this area. So based upon all the foregoing, it would appear that public convenience and advantage would not be served by approving this applicant.
Thank you. Okay.
Was it stated that we're gonna be a bulletproof store?
For some reason, in your application, it says that you're going to be in Bulletproof Store. Are you not?
No,
I
we're,
indicate you're going to be a bulletproof store.
Your pictures don't show
no,
that.
it's open, sorry.
It's an open store?
Yes.
It is open, yeah.
To better serve the community too.
How are you guys going to run this store? You both going to be keeping your other jobs and then trying to run this, or what's the?
Correct. Also, there's a grocery store that my family owns, a grocery store right next door to it. And I'm practically to get it always from May to December 31st. I manage the store. It's right next.
Because it's not tax season.
Yeah.
I see. And then he's working there full time?
Correct. I currently work for the city of New York. I'm an IT specialist. I work from the hours of 5:30 in the morning to about 12. And after I get off at work, I work Mondays through Thursdays. And when I get off of work, that's where I would be assisting in anything with the actual business itself.
Okay.
Do you have windows in this place?
The only window is just where you enter from, like the exit and entrance door.
The door itself is the window?
Yeah,
There's no window in the building?
No.
Does the door have a window?
It's a glass, but not like a physical window, no.
But it's a full glass door.
Yes,
It's just a full glass front, yeah.
I mean, it's
Also, if I may, I was born and raised in the community. Also, we do a lot of fundraising in the grocery store. We feed a lot of the people of the community, give a lot of turkeys and stuff like that on
The
Thanksgiving.
grocery store has a beer license?
Yes,
Who
correct.
holds that?
Huh?
Who holds that beer?
No, that's on a different family member.
I know, it's just.
Yes, family.
Okay.
So it's like everyone is very content, happy that we're doing this. We have the full support of the community.
Okay.
And
May I just make one other point?
Yeah.
I would just like to point out that the premises has a square footage of 461 square feet. And although the application says that that's going to be dedicated all to retail space, apparently the established questionnaire states that the entire space is used for retail sales, but the diagram depicts a retail sales area, a restroom, storage room on the main floor, and an office on the mezzanine level. I would contend that this is a very, very small store, very, very small footprint. Therefore, it really will not be giving any variety or increase in the type of
I
products.
know that goes both ways.
Well, I'm just saying my way.
certainly more variety and ability to see the products than a bulletproof store. Can agree on that.
Yes, and you do have the other two bulletproof stores, one of which is only 1,000 feet away, and then you have the big box store, which is only 1,600 feet away. And there are 5 stores right on top of this premises.
I understand. Thank you. All right.
Commissioner Fan, if you're ready.
Yes.
oh, sorry.
This store is going to be an open store since it's a very small footprint. And the two applicants are both productive members of this very tight, small community. I see that they both live within minutes from this location. And so I'm going to find public convenience and advantage and vote to approve.
Chairman Bradley.
Could I just ask one question?
Wait a minute.
The only reason I ask is, I know sometimes on a store that it said it is open, sometimes has the bulletproof for the cashier's area, and then has a door to allow for entrance into the other area. And a lot of times the owner says that that's a open store, and since we're not familiar with I'm not familiar with the diagram, I was just wondering maybe that would be a question that could be asked.
I don't get a sense, because I look at the pictures, I don't get a sense they're putting any.
I didn't see the diagram, Commissioner.
From what we have, it's not a bulletproof.
I don't think they have any barrier. Also, they own the grocery store next door, so I don't get a sense that they're nervous or.
Yeah, we know the community. They love us, support us. So I don't have no fear of nobody there. We're just ready to open and serve the community.
Chairman?
I'll vote to approve as well under the same condition,
That it's
for
an
the same
open,
reason.
that's an open floor, yeah. Okay.
So we good? We can step away. Thank you.
Got it, yeah.
Approved.
I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Next is 261 Straight Path Liquors Corp.
$61.
261.
Good afternoon. My name is Neil Trivedi. This is a removal application for Straight Path Liquors Corp. It's for application to relocate the license that is in safekeeping from 1311 Straight Path to 758 Belmont Avenue, West Babylon. I have with me here Jimmy Johnson. He had been operating the location at 1311 Straight Path, Wyandanch, from 1999 till 2019. In 2019, for some reason, the store was closed because there was some issue with the sales tax. And although my client claims that he paid the debt to the New York State Tax Department, he has proof of it. He gave it to his lawyer. The lawyer died, and he did not have proof of it when they came to liquidate his inventory. So the store was basically closed in 2019. So we're looking to have it issued.
Wait, his current store was closed in 2019?
Yes.
Do we know that?
No, we didn't know that.
Well, the license is in safekeeping right
Since
now.
October, last October.
Last October what?
I'm sorry.
2021.
May, actually.
I'm
it's
sorry,
May- actually, it's
22.
Actually, it was put in safekeeping in May of 21.
21.
Right, so that's not 2019.
Yeah, well, it was sometime after the license had expired. Then he came to me inquiring about it, so I said, well, look, you have to do.
Why don't we go back? Here?
Okay.
Speaking in general.
Okay.
The license expired when?
I don't remember the exact date.
Well, when did he come to you?
Sometime in, was it 2020? I
No,
think.
the license, back in May of 2021, the license was was going to expire. And that's when it was put in safekeeping.
Yes, because
So it's not 2019, it's 2021.
Yes.
Okay.
So he hasn't been open for 3 years?
Since 2019, the store was closed down by the New York State Tax Department.
All right, so he didn't put it in safekeeping when he should have.
He he should have, back then, yes.
Did we get notified? Well, obviously we didn't, because we would have took the license.
It depends.
He has a certificate of authority now?
Do you have the certificate of authority? He should have it. I mean, there shouldn't be, I don't think he hasn't closed down the corporation.
Yeah, but they're gonna, if it's a sales tax issue, they're not gonna let him to continue to.
No, that issue has been resolved.
You paid them.
Yes, they have been paid. They've been paid, yes. Yes, with the help of his family and friends, he's already paid that issue. He has already cleared that issue.
So he's not at this location?
He's not at that location. He cannot be at that
Where
location.
is the alcohol? Is it gone?
It's been liquidated, right?
Been liquidated. They
So you're
auctioned it
going to
off.
go to this location and go buy more inventory
and just open basically.
No, the landlord already leased the location to somebody else.
No, I'm talking the one you're going into.
Oh, this place is vacant, yes.
So he's got to go restock a whole store.
Yes, it's a new location.
When you say liquidated,
State tax.
Well, it's taxable, it's.
What?
There was an issue with the tax department, so they seized the inventory.
Took the liquor.
So the state took the,
Yeah,
okay.
Did they give it back when you paid?
no.
Oh, my.
So my client is 82 years old. He wants an opportunity to make the license active. He's got a son who can probably help him out, operate the location at this location. The store that he was already in 1311 Straight Path was functioning, working, but by for whatever reason, it got closed down. He doesn't have an
I
opportunity.
keep saying that for whatever reason, he collected sales tax and then didn't give it to the
No,
state.
that's not true. Let me explain.
Why
Let me
we don't?
explain. Because again, he said that, again, why don't you explain yourself how, as a result, what happened with,
I am not penalizing
Okay.
him for getting into a tax mess. A
Okay.
lot of people do. But don't try to tell me it is what it is.
no, it was not his liability because he inherited that liability from the owner that was previously operating the location. He inherited the location with a tax liability,
Don't look this up. Let it go.
okay?
'Cause
And he
I'm
paid,
guaranteeing you that's not accurate.
No,
No,
it's not
no.
accurate.
no, this gentleman was operating the liquor store since 1999. He inherited,
Giving him every benefit of the doubt.
You're just
What you
digging- you're
can do
digging a
is
hole for your
stop
client.
digging the hole.
I'm not digging a hole. If
Run the
I'm
shovel
telling the
off your
truth.
shoulder And let us do what we have to do.
Okay, but why don't you hear from him what he has
I
to
don't
say?
need to hear anything from him. Donna, we're ready to vote.
Commissioner Fan
I will vote to approve.
and Chairman Bradley.
I'm gonna vote to approve as well.
Thank you, thank you.
Good luck. Really, please handle it so that they get properly open another store.
Okay, sure.
Should we take a recess to fill
Yeah.
that hole in?
No, we're gonna take one
All right,
for my own.
we're going to take a brief recess. We'll be back on the record shortly.
I do what you
We're back on the record after a brief recess. Next is 255 LEEWOOD Liquor Corporation.
Good afternoon. Emmanuel Tavalla for LEEWOOD Liquor. If you have any questions.
Why do we have to come back?
No, because he's now asking to.
Oh, you were here objecting last time. yeah.
Yes, that was me.
Hold on one second. Yeah, no, I'm fine. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna vote to approve.
I'll vote to approve as well.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Next is 250 BENR Service Inc. C Liquor Store.
I'm sorry, what was that, Donald?
250.
Do you want? There's a related one. 250, there's a related one for this is 248.
It's the same size, right next to it.
So this is the applicant moving into a store that was vacated by another, who is now trying to move to another location.
But they're moving next door.
Yeah, the location is next door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Call them up.
So we're here,
And you guys filed months before they did,
yeah,
yeah.
we're here, and he was here and trying to move here. So we're here right now.
Right, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and they're here too, the other side. So he has a removal application also. I think they said they were gonna hear him at the same time, or, I don't know.
The people who were in Mr. Vers's client spot surrendered, gave up possession, right? Didn't do anything. Your client filed the application in February?
5 months before the removal.
Yeah. Mhm.
But their license was in safekeeping?
I can go through a little bit. I think it's gonna help a little, because I was given,
Yes. Their application, they surrendered possession in January, but didn't put the license in safekeeping until April. And by then, your client had filed. Right.
Okay. Right, but he's still trying just to move next door.
Well, he actually already did move next door and was selling out of there.
Oh, you're
without
selling
an
out of
approved
there.
removal application.
He skipped over the.
Can we get a minute with Shannon?
All right, we're going to go on a brief recess to conference with council. We'll be back on the record shortly.
Sure.
We're back on the record after a conference with council.
Let's hear 248 first.
All right. So that's 248 Skywine of New York, Inc.
Excuse me, Commissioner Fan. We oppose it, so if the opposition
You can
first.
oppose it, yes,
Okay.
for sure.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Sam Park, representative.
Thank you,
Here
Sam.
for,
What's your client's name?
you can speak.
Into the,
Juan Reyes.
And you've had this store since 2010?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me what happened.
No, the thing is, I get a lawyer to submit the application to remove, and he told me, soon as submit, you can move. So I come.
And when was that? When did you try to move?
It was February.
It was when?
February 2022.
February of 2022?
Yes,
You were trying to move?
yes, and then he said I can move. So
Okay.
then I find out with another lawyer, he said, no, you cannot move. I went to his office, he told me, no, you cannot move. Talk to your lawyer. He never picked up the phone, and then I hired another lawyer, and I come here, they say they need affidavit to make sure that, and then the lawyer never picked up the phone. He said that when he's in the hospital, I have
Okay.
a heart problem, and
Why did you initially want to move?
because I moved because my landlord, he bought the building and then he give me 5-year lease after that. And then I'm trying to work because I know he always against to my store. He don't want to renew the lease. Now I have like 2-3 years more, and I get the opportunity to move to the next store.
Right.
So
So you moved?
I moved, but before I moved, I got my security and everything there.
I understand. Okay,
And he give me the impossible, no way to talk to him.
I understand.
So
So next door is the same size store?
the same size store, same building.
Okay, and you're not operating right now?
No.
Okay.
I put the license and keep it, and I close everything. Nobody told me to shut down. I shut down the store, everything.
Okay. And how many year lease do you have there?
There, I got like 10 years at least.
You got 10-year lease?
Yeah.
Okay.
let her, she wants to.
And you wanted to oppose?
Yes. Good morning, Chairman Bradley, Commissioner Fan, Mr. Donahue, and the members of the Authority and Council's office. We are here to oppose the removal application for Sky Wine for the following reasons. Sky Wine of New York is not the owner of, or the applicant for Sky Wine's removal is not qualified to own a liquor store. He lacks the adequate character and fitness to hold a license. Juan Reyes and Sky Wines should not be granted the opportunity to operate an off-premise liquor store for the very reason the members of the authority deny other applicants an adverse history. The applicant already violated one of the biggest tenements for the SLA, operating a retail establishment without a liquor license, when he moved the license to the adjacent building without obtaining the SLA's permission. On January 9, 2022, he had prohibited hours of sales and improper conduct. On January 22nd, 2022, he was non-bona fide.
Are you telling us this, or are these charges that were filed against him?
These are charges that were filed against him, and I have the copies of all of the filings.
You have it, it's in the memo.
Okay.
And on January 22nd, he was non-bona fide and selling at an unauthorized location. On April 8th, 2015, he purchased alcohol from an unauthorized source. On February 6, 2021, he sold after hours and failed to follow city mandates and failed to supervise the establishment. On June 19, 2014.
Here's my problem. We have all of those. We have obviously penalized him for all of that
Yes.
stuff already, yet he remained licensed. So now you want us to re-penalize him?
No, I actually want you to.
We have the adverse history. We don't need it again.
Okay, then let me explain what happened here, if I can. This is a very shrewd businessman. he's telling, Mr. Reyes proposes to come before the members of the authority and tell you that he didn't know that he needed to file a removal application before moving next door. But he did know how, she had a contract for the building next door. He did know how to wait out that contract, offer the seller $200,000 extra to purchase the location. You know, to purchase a location, it takes you have to borrow money, you gotta get a title search, you have to talk to.
I don't understand what you're talking about.
I'm saying he's a shrewd businessman, he would never not have filed.
Let me ask you this, did your client tell him he was not going to renew his lease?
No, he abandoned the location, surrendered the keys, and he secretly negotiated with the seller of the building next door to move, and he moved secretly next door so that he can move his store next door and not pay. He still had 3 years remaining on the lease, surrendered the keys and abandoned the location. He didn't even follow the abandoned protocol license. You know why we're here today? Because he got caught. You know why he filed the removal application? Because he got caught.
Is if he did all of that, your client's recourse would be to file a civil lawsuit.
Correct.
Have you done that?
We're not filing a lawsuit because we're trying to get into this, we're trying to survive in the space next door.
Instead, what you did is your client who owns the building, not only, he's going to open the same kind of store that was there.
Well,
Rather than, it's not going to be a deli, it's not going to be a flower shop, it's not going to be a dry cleaner,
Well,
he's opening a liquor store.
I also would like to mention, this location has been continuously licensed since 2004. And hold on, Chairman, you know who was there? His brother. This was his brother's store. We have afforded this applicant, he lacks character and fitness. He has been given all of the amenities to be able to operate. They gave him, they transferred this store to him. They gave it to him in 2004 they sold it to him in 2009. He was operating it from 2004 to 2009. He takes the lease, they give him an adequate lease. He violates the leasehold terms, secretly goes and negotiates behind her back when she had a contract of sale for this building next door, buys the building next door, illegally removes next door. Illegally, Chairman Bradley, you want to reward someone who, wait a minute, okay, let me give you your words. Yes, you did, mistakenly. You didn't even know you renewed the license in the last hearing. You found out right here that the license had inadvertently been renewed because you shouldn't have renewed it. You should have canceled his license like you do everyone else. And let me tell you your immortal words.
Don't generally cancel license.
When they remove it legally
by accident.
And they sell liquor without a license, you never renew it, Chairman Bradley.
Story. This is an individual who was licensed, who moved illegally.
And was selling alcohol illegally.
Based on what he's telling me, without intent.
Chairman Bradley, does a guy who's negotiating the building next door, a shrewd operator.
Who we believe and who we don't believe
Correct.
is our business, not yours.
Yes. May I finish? He proposes to come here today and tell you he bought the eggs without the chicken. He bought the eggs before the chicken. So he moved the license, and then a shrewd businessman, a real businessman, would have bought, and then Commissioner Fan's immortal words, even more reason for you to have gotten it right now that you own the building. He bought the building, and then the license was an afterthought. He should have bought the building subject to the license being approved. That's his first mistake. Then he goes into, hold on. And the only reason we're here today is because he got caught with the violating, or he would have never let you know that he removed and took that license. In addition to the violations that he has already, Chairman Bradley, in your immortal words, you said, and I will quote, so that makes me wonder whether he should have a license at all. How can you give somebody a license that doesn't understand that basic obligation? That's the most basic obligation in your liquor license. You said it to him. It's attached in your hearing.
You're missing the point. I did say that to him, and then we gave it back to him.
You did say that to him, and you fined him, but
then we gave it back to him.
Because you already had renewed the license, and you didn't even know you did it. You already renewed the license, and you didn't even know you had renewed it.
I knew it before we fined him.
No, you knew it when well, that's true. When during the hearing, you found out that this is my point. you oftentimes go through a whole dissertation on doing the right thing, how licensees have to do it right. We're gonna reward this guy moving next door, breaking leases, breaking his word, selling after hours, selling to minors. We're gonna reward him now with a building next door? And let me go back. You did it with Max Bookman. With Max Bookman, you had a situation last week.
Keep going back. I've been here 7+ years. You
Yeah.
can go back and pull out every video.
No, you did this
We deal
too.
each case.
Correct.
by case. We do not sit there and say you did this on this case.
Well,
doing this on
I'm
this."
gonna give you
There are equities involved.
Yes, there are.
In every case, the equities are different.
She has children, two children, and she has a building that's vacated because he left. The point is this, last year, in Max Bookman's case, where the landlord had vacated.
Not to do that.
Well, no, I'm just using it as an example that,
We don't
well,
need examples. Deal with your client and the person applying.
okay,
And the law. Other than that,
okay. My applicant, Zulay Rodriguez, filed a timely application 5 months before the removal of Sky Wine of New York. The applicant has the requisite knowledge, experience, and understanding to obtain a license under the mandates and guidelines of the ABC laws. Her experience in accounting, inventory maintenance, and her past experience working in a grocery store make her a prime candidate to hold a license that she's never violated, not even a fine, Chairman Bradley. She even helped her boyfriend open a store in 2004, and she knows how to run a store. The applicant apologizes for any omissions in her application. She had an attorney who did it. I corrected them, and all of that has been rectified. There was no intent not to list some of the information. And it should be noted for the store, for the record. This is going to be a quasi-bulletproof store. Please see the diagram.
we're not dealing with your client's application. We're dealing with his right now.
Okay.
Your client's
So-
application is next.
He's a fully bulletproof store. That's not in the public interest and advantage. The nearest store, Alabaster Wine and Liquors, has increasing sales and it's important to know, this area is not saturated. He can go anywhere else. There's tons of areas where he can move his store. His mistake should not be rewarded. And if he says he didn't know, I find that very hard to believe, because we go back to the chicken. He bought the chicken and he forgot, he bought the eggs without the chicken. He moved it and you're rewarding him, and that is my point today. We object to this license being granted. He lacks the character and fitness. If he did it to his own brother and his nieces and nephews and left a defunct woman to pay a mortgage in a building, he doesn't have the character to hold a license.
They're brothers?
They're brothers. He did it to his brother, Chairman Bradley. You want this guy holding a license? Really?
Thank you.
Don't use us for this. Come on.
I really am offended by this as well.
I know. This is so ridiculous, guys. All right, we can vote.
Okay, Commissioner Fan
I'm gonna vote to approve the transfer.
and Chairman Bradley.
Thank you.
I'm going to vote to approve the transfer as
The
well. The
removal.
licensee existed,
The
removal. He has certainly not been a model licensee, but he has been charged and paid fines related to his behavior. And he's moving next door. The store is going to be the same size.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah, obviously someone is watching you, so, do the
All
right
right.
thing and
Thank
make sure
you.
you.
So next, bring back up 250, BENR Service Inc., Z Liquor Store.
I'm gonna find no public convenience advantage. I'm gonna vote to deny.
Chairman Bradley.
I'm going to vote to deny as well. Half of me wants to open it, just to,
No,
because
no, we don't.
why you bring your family issues in here is beyond me, but I'm not going to.
This is not a family issue. When we didn't bring it, it's
Public
not.
convenience advantage to open one more store right next to it. We just don't do that. We've
But
never done
where's
that,
the
and we're
public,
not
but,
gonna
okay,
start now.
before, what I was gonna say, if I may finish, because at least if we're gonna disenfranchise an owner of a building, and an owner where the other store was, you should at least hear their position. And we want to note it for the record because, this is good for Article 78. So, BENR has been doing business at this location since, this location has been, continuously licensed since 2004. My question is whether Skywine is even permissible there. Did we overcome the 200-foot challenge, ladies and gentlemen? Did we take the measurement? When I went and took a physical measurement of the location, it's 196 feet from the church across the street. We are 203 feet from the church across the street. Did the members of the authority properly conduct a 200-foot investigation on this location? I don't think he can be there even if he wanted to, Chairman Bradley. That's the first thing. And did Sky Wine, did he disclose that on his application? I don't think he did either. That's another reason why he doesn't have the character and fitness to have that license. My client's store is 203 feet from the church across the street, and the church is Overcoming Love Ministries. For the record, this location probably should be grandfathered in 7913, where our license is located, where the location, where 7913, well, it's been continuously licensed since 2004. And so if we can.
I'm not following you. Grandfathered into what?
Well, it's been licensed since 2004. If the location should be licensed in anywhere, it probably should be one that's been over, we're on 20 years.
It doesn't work that way.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
But this is my question. If you didn't properly, but you violated the 200-foot rule, Commissioner Fan. We're here violating the statute and the statute of New York State. Did the liquor authority properly conduct a 200-foot hearing?
I'm not here to answer your questions. If you have a question regarding a licensee that may be breaking the law, then file a complaint. This board is not here to answer your question.
But Chairman Bradley, you didn't do your homework and you're here disapproving a license here.
I don't know. I haven't looked at the application. There could be multiple reasons. One, perhaps it was done. Two, perhaps he didn't notify us that it was within 300 feet. Three, perhaps that church isn't exclusively a church. There's multitude of reasons why.
But you don't have the answers here today?
I'm not to answer your questions.
Yes, you are. You're denying the store license and you asked for lesser reasons. The members of the authority today don't even know if they've conducted a 200-foot hearing.
Please add it, otherwise.
Yes, I'm adding that. I respectfully request that there are before the granting of that application, that a 200-foot hearing be conducted because that is a proper church.
Point to us in the law where there's a 200-foot hearing.
But there's no, you didn't measure it. There's not supposed to be a store within 200 feet. I'm sorry, it's not a 200 feet. Okay.
Commissioner Fan is right. We've denied this license. The removal is granted.
Okay, we're gonna file reconsideration. Okay, no problem. We'll file an Article 78. The law is the law, Chairman Bradley. They're not bringing family issues. It was towards the end. You're the one who asked if they were brothers, and I told you they were. We never used those issues in the beginning of this case. That's not how I win my battles. And I win my battles when somebody doesn't run a 200-foot report. We'll come back. We'll be back with court.
Next is 271, Prime 116 LLC.
Unbelievable. Poor people, man. Unbelievable. Can I have some? Hi, thank you, Miss. Members of the authority, I am here today. Do you want me to begin?
I believe you were here last time we discussed this. We asked you to get something from the community board because you indicated the community board supports these changes. I didn't see anything in your supplemental from the community board.
Yes, we went to the community board meeting. The community board, there was some funny stuff going on in the community board. One, that we were approved, and then the director of the committee turned over the vote. And it's because he's friends with this guy right here. So we have the district leader from the community. We have a letter of support
When you say district leader, are you talking about a party committee person?
She is the one that runs that whole district
Runs it for whom?
For the Democratic Party.
Right, okay.
Yes, and she's the
We
district.
don't have anything from the community board written.
We don't, but we have.
Here's the problem. The community board, when this application came before us, in a written statement, approved the application. They supported it. Then when you initially asked for method of operation change, in writing, they opposed it. I'm not changing the method of operation here without something from them. You were able to get it for the application.
you were able to get it for the first method of operation change.
Mhm.
Here we've asked you for it twice now, we have nothing. You bring us a member of the Democratic Party committee whose job is to pick candidates to run for office in that political subdivision.
Well, Chairman Bradley, I also have a letter from the Assembly Member Gibbs, and in your
The community board is the one, it's a 500-foot case. The community board is the one that has opposed it in the past.
Yes.
I need right now, their input to us is that they oppose this.
Okay, they are meeting on the 21st, the full board. We went to the licensing committee. I'm asking that if this can be put over for next month. Believe me, this is no pleasure here. I'm asking if I can do this, put this over for next month, and we will have the community board support. Because the committee was running some funny stuff.
8 or 322.
I don't even care if they support it. If they oppose it, you can get that in writing and they can put it in reasons. It doesn't, I just need something.
They don't work like that, Chairman Bradley. Every community board doesn't follow the rules.
There are no rules for community boards, but because this one has put it in writing before, I would assume they're gonna do it again.
Okay. Thank you.
Over to 3.
When is the next?
March 8th.
March 8th.
March 8th, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
That's fine.
My mom doesn't go barking.
Next is 267, FLAVA Family Firm Inc.
Let me know why I lost my hair.
You lost it before you got here.
You cannot.
Good afternoon. My name is Harry Hedlund from the owner of Flavor Family
You
Firm
own this
Inc.
place?
Yes.
What is this, a restaurant?
Restaurant, yes.
What's your name?
Harry Hedlund.
Hedlund?
Hedlund, Headlam.
All right, I asked you to come in here, Mr. Hedlund, because you're relatively new.
Yes.
And we're getting a lot of complaints, plus you got charges as a result of the music outside.
I have no music
Well,
outside.
we're here to make sure that doesn't. This is your warning.
Yes,
If our
sir.
guys end up coming up there and there's music outside, that's gonna be the end.
Okay.
I also
So just keep the music inside.
There's a mistake on your license certificate. When you applied, it was for recorded music and DJ. Your license certificate says live music. You're not supposed to have live music.
Oh, like a DJ?
You
What?
can have a DJ.
I could have a-
We'll replace that license certificate. That was put on there by mistake, okay? You can't have recorded music in it. That's what you applied for, that's what you got. Recorded music and DJ.
Okay. Live music mean like a band?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you say I
If
cannot
you
have a
want that,
band?
you have to apply for it,
Yeah, you
Oh.
apply for it, you'll get it. You just have to
Right.
ask us.
right?
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll do
just
that.
get on, go online, get an application to change your method of operation.
But that was our mistake for putting that on the license when it shouldn't have been there.
Okay,
So
no
you're
problem.
not, you didn't do anything wrong because it was on the license.
Okay, to be honest, I didn't even pay attention to that in
Just
that
keep the
sense.
music inside, though.
Okay, not a problem. I'll do
I'll
that.
accept the fine.
I'll accept 5,000.
Anything less? No?
Good luck.
No, that's it, thank you.
Have a great day. Thank you. Okay.
All right.
Never had a licensee so
Next
happy.
is.
Just pick one.
They are.
Hello, you're not. It's Miss Sanchez, correct? And she needs an interpreter, which. So I made a mistake, apparently. So the next one is 270 Copas Bar Lounge, which is Miss Sanchez, who has appeared before us, and she needs.
an interpreter.
Nikki speaks Spanish,
Oh, okay. Do
if
it.
that works for.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Nikki,
that's
do it.
fine, because it's gonna. I'm
But
not-
you already kind of know the situation.
Yeah, and I just want her to understand, she's gotta get a lawyer of some kind. 'cause
We're
she's-
gonna return to council
Or we
likely.
can
Send a
find
bill
her.
in. Send a bill in for the interpreter service.
What's this, two what? 270?
270 Copas Bar Lounge, Miss Sanchez, if you can.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna talk. to us.
Buenas
Go ahead.
tardes. Mi nombre es Altagracia Sánchez de Martínez.
Good afternoon. My name is Altagracia Sánchez Martínez.
And we asked her to have her
Ellos,
lawyer come in?
ellos le pidieron que trajera un abogado con
Sí,
usted.
desafortunadamente no me pude contactar en estas 2 semanas con abogados. Contacté 4 oficinas y no estaban disponibles para hoy. El lunes pasado
Deme un
contacté.
segundito para que- Unfortunately, I contacted 4 different officers, but nobody was available for today. On Monday,
Me mandé el lunes, contacté una oficina que me dio una cita para el viernes, para así reunirme con los abogados y solucionar este problema.
She has an appointment coming up on Monday to discuss the case with the a law office.
So
Le
3A.
le pido que si puedes, por favor, me den una extensión de un mes, porque quiero solucionar todo el problema. Quiero sentarme con ellos, hablar, que me asesoren, hacer todos los cambios que tenga necesario en mi negocio y arreglar todo.
Because these are, tell what she said, go ahead.
She wants to know if she can get an extension to come back within a
Yeah.
month so she can resolve all
Well,
the
it'll be
problems.
March 8th, tell her.
Va a ser el día 8 de marzo.
But tell her that these charges are serious, so she needs to get with a lawyer.
Estos cargos son muy serios y necesita
Por
contactarse
eso
con
yo quiero contactarme y que me asesoren bien
That's why
para
she wants to
solucionar el
get in
problema.
contact with
Quiero
a lawyer.
solucionar el problema.
And just ask her to hold on one second. Did
Dame un
did this get
segundito.
delivered to her or no? The location?
Yes.
Somebody got it?
Yeah, let me just double check, but I would have noted it on.
Yeah.
It was early in the meeting.
I forget it. Just put it over, Don. Okay,
March
we're gonna get your lawyer and come back March 8th.
que busque su abogado y regrese el día 8.
Sí, muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Gracias. Pasen buen día.
Bye, thank you.
All right. Now it's
You could have assigned counsel. If Mr. Palillo's here, you could have assigned him.
Well, last guy
What is he
walked away
doing,
because
man?
he didn't get paid, so I'm guessing that, I think Mr. Palillo wants to get
he's
paid too.
next. 239, 158 Ludlow Rest LLC.
No, she.
Good afternoon, Frank Palillo. Congratulations, counsel, and welcome.
Well, I think he probably asked for money. I don't know what happened. We'll give her one more shot. Go ahead, Mr. Palillo.
Frank Palillo, good afternoon. Congratulations, counsel, welcome. How are you all?
239.
Dancing, manager.
You know, this is dumb, and the reason it's dumb is because this premises has always had dancing. When the application was originally filed, it did not. It received the cabaret license about 18 months afterwards. No one ever filed the cabaret license with the authority. 3.5, they have a cabaret license. Well, they had a cabaret license. 3.5 years ago, I had the same exact charge, prepared all the paperwork, and COVID came, and I never followed up. So I will be filing an application to change the method of operation of the community boards.
I'll cut your fine in half.
Oh, that's great.
Here, the first.
If I keep talking, I can get out of here.
Have a cabaret license.
No, it's legitimate cabaret license.
Not the cabaret permit issue, but.
That's what I mean. How many times did we ask you, you got a cabaret license? I say,
We
no,
don't
this
ask
guy's
anymore
yes, but he
because-
never put it on the.
We just never put it on the list.
They don't need them anymore.
No, I know.
Now we don't, but I think I still have to report it to the authority.
This is the first one I've ever heard happen.
No, you heard it 3 years ago on the same case.
1,500.
All right. Next is 269, 48 West 21st Street Court.
This is an offering compromise.
269.
I saw the video on this. Security acted remarkably fast.
Yeah, but this was serious.
It was, in the moment it broke, I don't know if you had a chance to see the video, Commissioner Van. The moment it broke out, security was all over the
They're
combatants.
pushing both parties out. They're supposed, the point is, at least my understanding is to separate them, move one out, and then move the other out later.
Did you see the exterior footage?
No.
The exterior footage shows that they led them both away.
Because it's a CNC server, you know this.
But they came.
No,
back.
no, it's in your BP.
All right. I mean, I'm not gonna.
They wouldn't see, they don't see.
They don't see, I don't know that.
All they see is,
Oh, I don't know that.
all they see is a summary from the prosecutor.
My bad.
All right.
You,
I mean, 15 is like not enough, but since this was March of 20, I'm not gonna get all caught up on the COVID break. So I'm gonna take 15.
Everyone was in high stress, and that was a week before COVID.
It's just, I left town March 2nd.
310 was when he shut the station.
so Seth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Jonathan, I have nothing else. Is that right?
Mr. Palillo, we got your request. Somebody's gonna get back to you.
Thank you for that.
That's correct, there's no one else.
No one else. All right. So 225 is an offer of 3,000.
So,
What's that?
227 is an offer of 6,500.
I'm gonna go to 9,500.
9,500.
228 is an offer of 15.
15.
15.
229 is an offer of 4,000.
I'm at 6,000.
6,000.
230 is a no contest default at pleading.
I'm at 9,500.
9,500.
231 is an offer of 3,500.
This is 36 card and I'm at 5,000.
5,000.
232 is a no contest default at pleading.
I'm at 10,000.
10,000.
233 is an offer of $750.
750.
750.
234 is an offer of letter of warning.
I think letter warning.
Letter warning.
235 is an offer of cancel and $1,000 civil penalty.
Cancel on 1,000.
Cancel on 1,000.
236 is an offer of 7,500.
I'll take 7,500.
7,500.
237 is a no contest default at pleading.
I will,
Withdrawing number 3.
yeah, withdrawal charge number 3, I'm at 5,000.
5,000.
238 is an offer of 4,500 and removal of additional bar.
4,500 and removal of bar.
Same.
244 is a no contest default at pleading.
I'm at cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
So 245 is a no contest default at pleading.
I'm at 10,000.
10,000.
246 is a no contest default at pleading.
This was at 3,500.
3,500.
249 is a new grocery store beer wines products license.
I'm assuming these guys aren't related, then it was okay. There's a lot of mess here.
I know, I was had concerns about that as well, but.
249.
All right,
I'll approve.
I'll approve as well.
251 is a new grocery store beer wine products license application.
Applicant has another AX and a summary. We summaried an AX?
Yes, he has he has a summary suspension and he's probably availing another license.
That's a no. I'm voting to deny.
252 is an offer for 10,000.
10,000.
10,000.
253 is a new grocery store beer wine products.
This is only here because the EB got
Yes.
denied?
Yep.
Okay, I'm okay.
I'm okay with it as well. Vote to approve.
254 is a package store operation application.
I'm going to vote to approve. I'm going to find public convenience advantage and expansion of the store.
I vote to approve as well.
258 is a offer of 1,500.
1,500.
I want to bring them in.
Oh,
You want to bring them in? Over to 38.
3A.
Just to make sure that they got 4 years of summer issues.
262 is an offer of cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
263 is a no contest.
I'm at 5,000.
Chairman?
This is the one we were talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Son, who's managing?
This one we're blaming the patrons for everything.
He worked for the state for
Yeah,
30 years.
bring them in too, Donald.
Okay, Commissioner?
3-8 to discuss what's going on here.
So with 264 and 265, a no contest, I did send a follow-up email to get an earlier date, and they said March 8th.
March 8th?
Yep.
Do we need this?
I mean, you'll get another agenda sheet. And it's going out.
66?
266 is an offer of 12,500.
I'll take the 12,000.
Wait, hold on, Mike, say what you were gonna
This
say.
is the one where Larry didn't have the documents originally, the records.
Oh, so the offer's low because we weren't getting the evidence. Now
Right.
we have gotten the evidence.
Correct.
So I'm gonna go to 20.
Okay.
Counter at 20.
Counter at 20.
268. It's a no contest default at pleading. They were held over for the licensee to appear, and they didn't.
We sent enforcement out twice.
Oh, right, and they didn't come?
No.
I'll cancel them off.
Cancel and bomb.
And Chairman, I have nothing else. Do you have anything?
No.
All right, meeting is adjourned.